Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman.
Well, good morning, and a pleasant good Wednesday morning. Hump Day, as they like to call it, on a Wednesday. Good morning, Casey McCollister, Paul Fritzner. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Hey, Tom, the Reds are playing some baseball.
They are.
The Reds are playing baseball,
They just lost
Tom.
2 out of 3.
Tom.
Last night. Don't get carried away.
They won one of their last one.
They played a team. They just beat a team that won 100 games last year.
That was last year. As I reminded you frequently during football season, I didn't want to hear about last year. Right?
Positive vibes, Tom. Positive vibes.
I'm all about positive vibes. But, I mean, let's don't get carried away here. Let's don't get carried away, boys. We welcome you, as always, to Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. I'm Thom Brennaman. We come your way 10, Paul,
A
to 12,
P,
Monday through Friday. You can follow us on YouTube/Chatterbox Sports, or if you'd like to join us in podcast form, by all means, just search Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman, and you're dialed in. They tried, oh lordy, did they try to give it away last night? But no. The Reds took a 7-1 lead into the 6th. They gave up a run. They get 7-2. Mets got 2 more in the 7th. They got 2 more in the 8th. But one thing the Reds do have, they have a good closer. Yes, Alexis Diaz is a good closer.
He's a nut cutter.
He really is. No doubt about it. He closes it out to get the win, 7-6 over the Mets. That's the opener of a 3-game series down at Great American Ballpark. Really, before the game even started, the Reds got great news. Remember Max Scherzer, the future Hall of Famer. It's easy for me to say. He was supposed to start, but apparently he had a neck problem, and he couldn't go. So the Mets bring up a guy named David Peterson, a 27-year-old journeyman. Spot start. Reds jumped all over him, scoring 7 times in 3+ innings. Now, look, we don't spend a lot of time talking about other major league teams. But for the Mets, they've got to be a little bit concerned on what's going on here. They spent a fortune on this team, by far the highest team payroll in Major League Baseball. And they spent a fortune on 2 starting pitchers, aging starting pitchers, in Scherzer and tonight's starter, Justin Verlander, in hope, of course, that that duo could pitch him to the World Series. And that still might happen. But both have been hurt. Verlander has only made 1 start. Scherzer has been largely ineffective when he has started. Remember, he was also suspended for 10 games this year. The Mets have lost 12 of their last 15. They're 2 under 500, and their manager got thrown out of the game last night. What are they saying in the Big Apple today? We'll talk more about that shortly. On the hardwood. Now, how do you pronounce this guy's first name?
Nicola.
It is Nicola.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, how good is Jokic, right? 2-time league MVP. Last night, he breaks Wilt Chamberlain's NBA playoff record with his 10th triple-double as a center. Okay? The position of center. Denver rolls over Phoenix 118-102 in Game 5. Jokic with 29 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. Denver leads the series 3-2. They can close it out tomorrow night in Phoenix and get to the Western Conference Final. Speaking of league MVPs, this year's version, Joel Embiid, not too bad last night for Philly. Pours in 33 as the Sixers win in the Boston Garden. 115-103, Embiid's 3rd straight 30-point game of the series. It got so bad for Boston last night. They're the number 2 seed now. Their own fans at the Boston Garden were booing them when they fell behind by 21 in the 4th quarter. Philly can close it out at home tomorrow night and get to the Eastern Conference Final. Their opponent, should they get there, could be determined tonight, as the 8th seed in the East, Miami, goes to Madison Square Garden with a chance to finish off the Knicks. Miami leads that series 3-1. It's also 3-1 in favor of the LA Lakers over Golden State. And LA has a chance to reach the Western Conference title round with a win tonight in San Francisco. Better stay up late for that one. 10 o'clock, the tip. In football, the NFL schedule comes out tomorrow night. When, where, against whom will the Bengals be playing in their season opener? We know it's not Kansas City. We were all wondering that. We learned last night that the big one in KC in the regular season will be played week 17, the second to last game of the season. That is on New Year's Eve, December 31st. Now, right now, that's on CBS as a 4:30 kick. Could that change to prime time? How about that New Year's Eve? Let's walk through what New Year's Eve would look like if the Bengalis were playing. We'll get to that in a minute. The NFL also announced yesterday the Jacksonville Jaguars will play twice in London in 2023. That's a first for any NFL team. The Dolphins will play the Chiefs in Frankfurt, Germany. A total of 5 games will be played across the pond, 3 in London, 2 in Germany. And lastly, in the NHL, Carolina goes up 3-1 on New Jersey. Dallas beats Seattle 6-3 to even that series at a game apiece. All right. Disappointed? Glad? What word would you guys use to describe how you feel about the Bengals not playing the season opener in prime time against Kansas City, but rather waiting until the last day of this calendar year?
Personally, I'm in the camp that Bengals start slow. However, there have been outside circumstances that have caused that, like Joe Burrow's injury, Joe Burrow's appendix, COVID. It just always seems like there was something that limited him from being 100% ready to go. The decision to not play the offensive line, maybe they play if Joe Burrow's healthy in the preseason, like a quarter. But, it just – I really wanted the Bengals to stay away from Kansas on the opening game.
You did.
I did because –
Or Missouri, either one.
Yeah, either one.
Either, they're right next to each other.
They're right next to each other. But the thing is, you just walk into it with too many unknowns, especially in the secondary. And I don't want for us to be going through this process early on, facing all of the really tough opponents when maybe they don't get their footing until later on in the back half of the season, much like the Chiefs last year,
right,
where they had a very young secondary. They really didn't put it together until the back half of their season.
Yep.
So I personally am glad that they did not open up with them and that they are quite literally the last game, one of the last games of the season to fight for that first place spot.
I went back and forth thinking a lot about this game because I had talked about it the other day and how much I was or was not looking forward to playing this game. And I think that playing it at the end of the season, in my opinion, makes me more excited for it than what I maybe alluded to the other day, because it has the chance to have what feels like more impact on the season at the end of the season than it did at the beginning of the season. I think that I think it'll be more exciting for me personally watching that game at the end of the year, because if to what Casey said, if you're starting slow or you have some question marks or you have some guys that maybe you're still trying to figure out what their role is exactly or how well they fit into their role or what their role needs to be, whatever that question mark is.
They've got some of that
and they have a lot of that going on.
Especially on defense.
Exactly. So you give them the season to figure that out, and then you put it you put it at the end of the year when, sure, every game counts for the same. I understand that. But it will have heightened expectations at the end of the season because it will naturally feel like that, because you know that the playoffs are 2 to 3 weeks away, whereas if you play it in game one, then maybe you have some question marks, or maybe you're frustrated with whatever's going on with the team coming out of training camp and coming out of everything else, and then you think to yourself, are they going to be able to get this done in week one, or is it going to be another slow start?
Yep.
Then you find yourself behind the 8 ball again at 0-1, and then you're kicking yourself in week 18 when you're thinking, man, if we'd have played the Chiefs now, we're such a different team than we were back in week 1. Same deal as last year. Maybe you win that game instead of losing that game. And then don't you think, too, at least this is a little something that I think about, if the Bengals lose that game in week 1, that just gives even more confidence to the Chiefs. It gives even more of that little rub to the Chiefs and digging into the side of the Bengals and everything else, where then the Bengals would have the whole season. We'd have to listen to everybody argue for the whole season. Well, if we saw you now, and then maybe they see him in the postseason again, maybe they don't. So that's a long-winded way of saying I much, much prefer this game at the end of the year than I do at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a couple of great points, both of you guys. You know, when you look at the Bengals, let's just look at it from a straight personnel standpoint, right? And the questions they're going to have. And look, Duke Tobin made the comment, I think yesterday or the day before, this roster is not done. There are still players out there the Bengals are looking at to bring in to put on this roster. And I'm talking about veteran free agent guys. I don't know if you saw who was a former Bruschi, Teddy Bruschi yesterday, said he thinks Ezekiel Elliott is coming to the Bengals. He thinks that would be the fit for Ezekiel Elliott coming here. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen or not. But when you look at the personnel here, okay, Awuzie, let's just start with the secondary. You got Cam Taylor-Britt, brand new full-time starter, right? You have Awuzie who's coming all the way back from a knee injury. You've got a guy in Murphy that I think we all agree, they just drafted him in the first round, that they're going to be counting on, but that would be his first NFL game. You have 2 brand new starting safeties, okay? So now you're going up against Mahomes and Kelsey and all these guys week 1 after, as Reed Mouse points out in the chat, I think it's a good point, right after, you know, they kick the ball off, but you've been watching them get their rings in the ceremony in the pregame while you're standing on the field. Right. And they're handing out Super Bowl rings, right? Then you go over to the offensive side where it would be Jonah Williams' first ever game at right tackle in the National Football League, if indeed he is the guy at right tackle when all is said and done. That remains to be seen. You're going to have a new running back along with Mixon, if Mixon is still there, and we all believe he'll still be there. But you have a new running back who's going to be back there, and it will probably be a running back who's going to be counted on to provide some pass protection. You have a brand new tight end playing for the Bengals in Irv Smith. So, and now if you fast forward and you play them in week 17 in December, okay, all of those things I just talked about. Now, is there a risk that other guys get hurt? Of course there is, a huge risk. And let's look no further than what happened last year. By the time the Bengals got to week 18 and then into the playoffs, right, they're down 3 offensive linemen. So that kind of thing can happen to anybody. But if you know, good Lord willing, everybody. So Awuzie has now had a full season. Your 2 safeties, or 3 if the rookie comes in and plays, they've had 16 games under their belt at that point. You have Murphy, who has his legs under him as a pass rusher in the NFL, right? You have whoever the running back is has now played a full season, whether that's the rookie or whether that's they bring in Elliott or they bring in somebody else. Your offensive line by that point in time, either Williams is having a really good year, playing right tackle, if indeed he's a guy, right?
Right.
Or La'el Collins is back.
Right.
Because he's not more than likely, and look, I don't know this for sure, and I know when he was here a couple of weeks ago, right around the draft, and he was interviewed and said, you know, if he had to tomorrow, he could put a brace on that knee and get out there and play. Okay, good for him. But his chances of being out there are a hell of a lot better in December than they are in September, right?
Right.
So you have a lot of moving parts there besides just the fact that, you know, it's a season opener in Kansas City. I'm with you, Paul, on that whole thing from a psychological standpoint. Everything would be in Kansas City's favor there. Ring ceremony, at home, Super Bowl champs, playing a team that has some questions as far as personnel playing for the first time for the Bengals. And after the Bengals had ripped off 3 straight wins, there's no doubt the Bengals were living in the Chiefs' heads. But then the Chiefs win the big one in the AFC Championship game. If they find a way to beat you again in the first game of the season, now all of a sudden it's Kansas City who has a 2-game winning streak in that series, right?
Right. Yeah, the more and more you think about it, it just doesn't make sense for them to play. There's just too much in Chiefs' advantage in their camp that you just don't want to mess with. And that leads me to when they do play, which is week 17.
Is that week? Are they moving the playoffs up? Or no. I guess that would be it. Yeah, that's right.
Well, it's the same as last year.
Yeah, it's the same as last year. My bad.
So play the 31st as the second. When we say week 17, that means there's one more week left in the season.
Yeah.
So week 18, you get a bye week. So that would be the 31st. That would be the 6th of January. Then you start the playoffs the next week.
Yeah.
And so this game being played at that late in the schedule, I really love that. The fact that it's pretty much, if everything goes smoothly for the Bengals, all injuries aside and whatnot, if they're still on track, that's probably the game for the number 1 seed, more than likely. And on top of that, they would have already played the Bills, so that's another team that you're already, if you've done your business there, like, you're in a pretty good spot. And not just that, you, like we've already said before, you have time to get your footing. And the Bengals have shown that they can get their footing down the stretch, that they can keep everybody together. And sometimes I don't need to keep everyone together. You can lose Jamar Chase for 4 weeks and be fine. But as long as they get healthy at the right time, at that point in the season, I have no doubt in my mind that they can take care of business.
I'm all about avoiding the Chiefs as long as possible. So if that means playing them on New Year's Eve, fine by me.
Yeah. And last year, New Year's Eve was the college playoff games.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of fun
and we
to watch.
were wondering, it was brought up, Reed Mouse brought it up, by the way. We looked it up this morning because, college football's taken a lot of heat. Even though last year that Ohio State game broke the all-time record for the highest-rated playoff game when they played Georgia last year. And that was a New Year's Eve game. But college football's taken a lot of heat about playing those games New Year's Eve. So this year, and, Reed and I were talking, the NFL wouldn't back down to a college playoff game, and the college playoff game wouldn't back down to an NFL game. We were talking about what if the Bengals played, because there's going to be an NFL game New Year's Eve at night. That's a Sunday night. Somebody's going to play in the NFL. Now, could that be the Bengals? We keep hearing that, each network that is the primary week in and week out place you'd find AFC games, that would be CBS, of course. NFC games you'd find on Fox. That Fox and CBS can protect a single game. When they look at their entire schedule, they can say before, NBC that does 1 game a week, ESPN does 1 game a week, Sunday Night Football, you've got the Amazon package on Thursday night, whatever it is. So each of those networks can protect 1 game. And clearly, CBS has decided that the game they are protecting, and did protect, was Bengals v. Chiefs, right?
Right.
My only question is, does that mean automatically? Because then there are some stipulations as you move into the season where you can start flexing out games. NBC's got that kind of power, where they can say, hey, we got the X against Y, and we'd rather have the Bengals and Chiefs. Well, can they all of a sudden swoop that game up? And now all of a sudden the Bengals are playing at 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice if that's the case.
You would want the Bengals for your New Year's Eve. Rather than taking, you will be a married man for the first time in 2023.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So rather than, whining and dining your bride, no longer your fiance, no longer your girlfriend, rather than whine, and we know Paul. I mean, Paul's going to do whatever Paul wants to do, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right, Tom.
They just find a way to make it work. God bless them. But Casey,
Yeah.
normally that's a night where you dress up, right?
Yeah.
Throw on a sport coat, pair of slacks.
Yep.
She gets dolled up, looks beautiful in a dress, whole deal, right? Little makeup, does her hair, and you hit the town, celebrate New Year's Eve. You're telling me that you would love the idea, and you think your bride-to-be at this point would be along with that program of hanging out somewhere and watching a football game on New Year's Eve.
Tom, last New Year's Eve was the college football playoff. You want to know how I spent that?
It's different.
I spent it with all my buddies. We all went to a bar with Alex and our respective girlfriends, but we all went to a bar. We're sitting there hammering the table, drinking beers, hoping that our sports bets hit. We're just waiting for McIntosh to score a touchdown. He never does. And that's how the entire night was spent, watching the TCU, Michigan, Georgia, Ohio State game. And we rushed back to my house, which was like 5-10 minutes away.
Did you hear what I said a second ago when I prefaced all of this?
Yeah, I heard you.
Did you hear the question I asked? There is a distinct difference, as you're about to find out. There is a distinct difference. And many of you in the chat, although I think we by and large, we have a bunch of guys in the chat that I know a lot of them are married, but I think a lot of them are single. Our boy, Sir Boy Wonder, right?
Right.
I mean, he'll be sitting in a bar in Oakley, bellied up, watching the Bengals on New Year's Eve. No questions.
He'll probably be at the
there.
game.
He'll probably be there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he might be there. And he's been killing me today, by the way. I thought he and I were tight. He's been lighting me up so far today. We'll get to that in a minute. But, hey, Casey, are you really sure about this? That that's the way Alex would want to spend New Year's Eve? Is she as hardcore a fan of the Bengals as you are?
I think she would understand. I think she would.
Dude, I mean, I wish, you say words and philosophies, okay, that in theory are all beautiful things. They're part of your wedding vows, right?
Right.
Well, I'm going to tell you, all right? If nobody else will, Tracy will tell you. A lot of those are theoretical. And then there is reality. Words like, I think she would understand.
Well,
are you sure about that?
Well, if we just take a look at the history of how I've spent New Year's Eve with Alex, the first time we ever had New Year's Eve was the first time I was ever drunk, puking my guts out, so we didn't get to kiss on the New Year's Eve.
Oh, no. Were you throwing up already by midnight?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Casey.
It was a really bad night. The
Casey.
second time we were at a party with a bunch of people, and we were able to make it to the ball drop.
Okay.
The third time we were going to a party that ended up getting canceled, so we just kind of spent it with her family. I think the fourth time, which was this time, we were watching the college football playoffs, and we were all tanked up, eating wings.
Somebody said that means you had 3 White Claws.
3 White Claws. Ouch. I think I could do a little better than that. Make it 4.
White Claws.
But no, I don't know. She's never wanted to dress up for New Year's Eve, but
Okay.
maybe I'll ask. Maybe she can just answer in the chat right now. I'm sure she's listening in. Alex.
I would love to hear from Alex.
Alex, are we gonna watch the Bengals game for New Year's Eve?
Is it for sure? I'll be honest. I didn't see this morning. Is it for sure at 4:25?
Yes.
That's right now.
But it could
and
flex.
I'm just wondering, out loud, with CBS protecting that game, And there are limitations, by the way, on the thing about NBC when it comes to flexing. For example, traditionally, although it has certainly swung the other way with all the great quarterbacks in the AFC, traditionally over the last couple of decades, most of the big games, most watched games, are teams that play in the NFC. I mean, you go through the years, the Cowboys are always a huge ratings bonanza, no matter when they play. I mean, every network, if they had to pick one team to televise, that would be the team they picked. It's not even remotely debatable. They would pick the Dallas Cowboys. Good, bad, or indifferent. You had the Cowboys. You had some Giants teams that were great teams. You had 49ers teams that were great teams. You had Green Bay, Brett Favre, and then Aaron Rodgers. And all. So most of the time, when NBC could pick a game, pluck a game for Sunday night on the flex, if they had their way, more times than not, they'd be plucking one of those, NFC games. But Fox is not going to get rated, nor is CBS now with the AFC being stronger. They're not allowed to get rated every single week by NBC and pick the best game off of their schedule that weekend and put it in prime time. I think there's a certain number. You're allowed to say, okay, over those last 6 weeks, you can take 3 from CBS, you can take 3 from Fox. You can't take 5 and 1. But I just wonder if by protecting that game from it being the season opener, which will be on NBC, does that mean they can protect that game, period, for that Sunday night? That's their one game the whole year that no matter what, nobody can touch.
For Sunday night?
Period.
I mean, I think. I'm not familiar with how the way it's structured.
I'm just curious. I'm curious.
I imagine that's how it. That's what they've been saying or been telling us, right? That for all these broadcasting companies, it's.
Personally, it's going to be a great way to spend New Year's Eve. I'm not a huge New Year's Eve guy. Had some fun last year.
What'd you do last year?
Went down to the Betfred Sportsbook party down at Moorline.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Down at Moorline. They did it.
Boy, that's nice.
They did like a little.
They having another one this year? Are we invited? I mean, they're our big sponsor here.
It was a launch thing because the sports betting was launching at midnight, so we went down there. It was just kind of like a bar that we knew we could get into because everywhere else is packed. We knew we could get in there, so
that's a beautiful building.
Watch the games. Yeah, it was great.
I mean, of all the buildings down there, that's the most beautiful of any of them down there.
Moorline, yeah.
I mean, great.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of glass. Look out over the river. They got the patio out there going, right? Keep it heated up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was
so
great.
You're telling me that Phil, I've asked Casey about this. So now we shift gears to you.
Yeah.
All right. So you were just saying about New Year's Eve, pretty low key, right? As far as not dressing up and all that kind of thing. So if the Bengals end up New Year's Eve, what happens with you, the two of you?
Well, if it's 4:25, that's plenty of time.
No. I'm saying if it gets moved to night.
I'm watching it regardless.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, that don't matter.
I'm watching that game
because
that is the game.
That doesn't matter. We're past the point. We understand expectations here. Ground rules have been laid. We know where we're at. Because if I'm being honest, I'm going to be with a bunch of people that probably all want to watch the game anyway. Like I know right now where I'm probably going to be. Now, the one little kind of, I don't know, caveat to this is sometimes Xavier does play on New Year's Eve.
Oh, boy.
The Big East does like playing New Year's Eve games, and we won't know the schedule until September. So that would take precedent for me, but I don't know if I doubt it. Xavier had a home New Year's Eve game last year, and they like to rotate those. So my guess would be that it would be an away game this year. If they play at all, I don't know what the schedule would be. But that would be the one little caveat. It's a Sunday. I can't imagine they'd play a Xavier game on a Sunday, New Year's Eve. But maybe. You never know.
So the question is, January 1st generally, now we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of this conversation. Because 99% of the world will be off the next day on January the 1st. That's a Monday. And that day, some of you were saying, wait, I thought college football played on New Year's Eve. If you missed it, I had said earlier, college football playoffs this year, January the 1st. Both semifinal games, January the 1st, national championship, Monday, January 8th. So what are we going to do?
For Monday?
Biggest Bengals game maybe of the year. It's a big maybe. All of us are getting carried away, me included, at the very top of the list saying, oh, it's home field advantage. We don't know what's going to happen. We know there are two very good teams, and they'll be playing Week 17. But on Monday, January 1st, which is a holiday for most.
I see where this is going.
Where will we be off the bench?
We'll be doing the show live from Kansas City Live.
Really?
On the stage.
You seen
Back
a
at
new
the
budget
casino.
I'm unaware of?
We'll be out there. We'll be good. Do
We'll
a
be
live
at that
show.
Ameristar once again.
Yeah.
Having a grand time.
I think that's an easy answer, Tom.
And I'll be here alone with an
Probably,
intern.
Maybe me. Maybe I'll stay back. It's not like we're going to get an invite. You and me can just
Well,
be
we
here.
didn't get one last year.
Oh, what?
It's a very good point.
We didn't get one last year
That's
when you
right,
guys
we didn't.
went.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
Chad says, I'm a nut cutter, Tom. I'll be working that day.
Yeah, I think we'll all be working just a little bit hungover from the day before. That would be my guess, is that we're all going to be here in the
If
studio
the Bengals
next
lose,
day.
maybe we're all just a little extra hungover.
Sir Boy Wonder says, I'll be the intern and run the show for you, Tom. Now, wouldn't that be something?
Oh, yeah.
Sir Boy Wonder
teach him.
dialed in.
I'll teach him. I'll teach him the ropes. You just come on in.
But then on second thought, he says, I'll be watching Ohio State, Georgia in a rematch of the semifinal, and I'll be there on January 1st.
Do we know where they're playing it at?
Yeah, they're playing at one of them is at the Rose Bowl. How cool is that?
Ooh, that's cool.
Really cool. And the other's at the Sugar Bowl. That's down in New Orleans, a national championship game. Does Houston get every big event now? They had the Final Four,
Yeah.
right? Haven't
Right.
they recently had a Super Bowl?
That I don't know.
They've got the College Football National Championship there this year.
It's not a good city for big events either.
It's so spread out.
It's really bad, yeah, because it's so spread out. It takes forever to get everywhere.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Houston traffic is as bad as anywhere in the country.
Yeah, and you have to Uber everywhere. It's not conducive to big events at all. When you look at cities like Indianapolis, which was born to be a city to host events like that, New Orleans, Las Vegas,
New
Phoenix.
Orleans is the best of them all. When I was doing the BCS stuff and did 3 national championship games in college football, by far, the best for the fans is New Orleans. The best. I mean, you've got probably a decent chance of okay weather, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's New Orleans, it's January, but you got a good chance to be pretty decent. Okay, it could be in the 60s during the day, something like that. Right? You can walk everywhere, including the stadium. You don't have to get a cab to the Superdome. If you're staying right down there in the quarter, anywhere in downtown New Orleans, doesn't have to be the quarter, anywhere in downtown New Orleans. Of course, you're risking your life in that town. That's a murder capital of the world now. But you can walk to the stadium.
in which town?
New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans.
Number 1. Has surpassed St. Louis. First time St. Louis is not number 1 in a decade. So... But look, they'll have everybody out. I'm saying that tongue in cheek. But you can walk there, you can go to the game, you can drink all the beer you want to drink at a game, and you can walk back to the hotel. Okay, so you could come back and get sick at the hotel. Of course, a lot of people just get sick in New Orleans. But that's the truth. But that's the best. The best. Rose Bowl, Pasadena, I love. Great, cool town. But you're not walking. Could you walk? Yes. If you're somebody who's fit, yeah. You can walk to the Rose Bowl, but it's a good hike. Phoenix, no chance. Middle of nowhere. And I mean nowhere. Out there in Glendale. Right? Houston, like you said, middle of nowhere. Cabs, Ubers, traffic, the whole 9 yards. You're right. Indy, fantastic, but nothing like New Orleans. So anyway, that's where the college football semis are going to be. The Rose Bowl in Pasadena, the All-State Sugar Bowl, Monday, January 1st. Back-to-back doubleheader. How about that weekend and to usher in the new year?
Oh my gosh.
How about that weekend?
It's gonna be electric for us.
For who?
For us. Just in terms
For us,
of
this show. For us, you and Alex. For us, your friends.
anyone.
Who's us?
I mean, just with all the events that are going on, all the big events that are happening. Us.
Who's
Chatterbox.
us?
Chatterbox.
Who is us? I'm asking you a
Nutcutter
question.
Nation.
Nutcutter Nation, Chatterbox, the people that are in this room, us. But, Tom,
Yes.
you think you're going to go to that if OSU makes it to any of the semi games?
Would I go?
Yeah.
No. No chance. Well, I'm not going to say no chance. It all depends. You know, when you have kids, and in this case, it's going to be the first time for Polly and me where we're empty nesters here coming up in a few months, right? And you know, I'm going to ask a lot of you to kind of bear with me because I'm one of those guys. I'll hear some people say, and I know they love their kids like crazy, but I'll hear some people say, man, I can't wait to be an empty nester. Well, I am at the complete polar opposite end of the spectrum. No one is more down and out at the thought of being, and it has nothing to do with not wanting to be around my wife. It's just been all about the kids for 20 years. Having dinner with them, talking to them, sporting events, school events, DECA, all. I mean, morning, noon, and night. Problems, ups, downs, puberty, everything. Graduations, dances, the whole deal. And then all of a sudden, gone.
Casey and I are more than willing to go out to dinner with you and Paulie whenever. If you just need some younger company, we're more than willing. I'll volunteer, Casey.
You know what? I think that we should have a dinner, maybe in the fall, after Luke's off to Indiana, right? Ella's back down there at TCU, and the 6 of us will go to dinner. And we can get into all of the conversation. Newlyweds,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Hey, somewhere on that spectrum, I don't know where that is.
Getting close.
I don't know where that is.
I don't know, fellas. I wish.
Does she ever ask you about that?
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
No, she does. She does ask me. In fact, we actually had a conversation about it the other night, and I was just like, "Look, we gotta make sure that financially we have some things settled here for a little bit before." It's like the glimmer. It's like there's an oasis somewhere down the line. You just gotta hope that you can get there. And you just hope it's not a mirage financially. That's where we're at. That's where I'm at least.
Okay.
I'm hoping.
That's
I'm
understandable.
I
get it.
I'm very hopeful.
I get it.
Sooner rather than later.
A lot of very nice gestures out there from many of you. And I like Fred's idea. We need a Chatterbox charity cookout for the chat.
We do.
See, now we could do that on a Saturday afternoon with a little college football somewhere. Just have a big old cookout. Is there a nice park somewhere? Got to be here in Hamilton, close by, right? Or maybe we split the difference from where all our, viewers and chat members are coming from, points all over. Could go to, somewhere maybe in Mason.
There's a great park right down the road. We can go watch Reed play the Cincinnati Adult Baseball League. They got some picnic tables. They have a grill. We go down to Foundation Field. We can do a big cookout. We can watch Reed play baseball. He does that every Wednesday night and every Sunday morning. We do one big Chatterbox cookout on a midweek, a hump day cookout.
It's not a bad idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Reed chimes in, says, if I need a puppy, I already have 2 dogs. I don't need another puppy. OJ's 94 Broncos says, I couldn't stomach food and watch Reed play baseball at the same time. And, of course, our boy Wonder says that I could just host all of the chat at Jeff Ruby's on my tab.
Now, wouldn't that be something? Does that include me and Paul that are writers in the chat? Like, we frequent the chat.
Of course.
Yeah, okay. Just double checking.
You guys are like the headline act. I mean, I basically, if you stop and think about it, okay, you guys, Casey to a lesser extent than Paul because of his work with Xavier, okay? But when Off the Bench started, it gave me a chance to kind of get my career kind of up and moving again, right? And forever grateful for it. But the two that have benefited by far the most on this operation are you two guys. You have become, if not yet household names, you have reached the point where guys are showing up to make a delivery at your house, or you walk in to pick up a pizza, or whatever it might be, and people are going, hey, you're Casey from Chatterbox. Hey, that's Paul Fritchner. Right?
He's not lying.
We have gotten that a couple of times.
I haven't had that recently.
More than a couple.
Nutcutter Nation has turned out when we have run into people in public. It is fun. I always enjoy doing that. Like, seriously, whether it's somebody, whether it's a Xavier fan or whether it's whoever, and you just kind of run into people in public, you get to chop it up about sports a little bit and then make a new friend and you keep on rolling. It's a good time. NCN is far and wide now. The net is just ever expanding.
Blowing up by the thousands. Nutcutter Nation. All right. We were talking about the Kansas City thing. Okay, we know now it's not going to be on opening night. So then we were trying to figure out, we'll get to the Bengals in a second, okay? We were trying to figure out, when you look at Kansas City's home schedule for this year, and we told you they're playing overseas for this coming year. They're playing in Germany this year.
Tom.
Against Miami. Yes.
Tom, I am going to interrupt this, and we don't need to go on about it or whatever, but I am going to at least update a headline here.
Sure.
Pete Thamel did just report that West Virginia and Bob Huggins are finalizing details for him to return to the sideline next season in the wake of him using an anti-gay slur in a radio interview earlier this week. He's expected to receive a suspension, a $1 million salary reduction, and sensitivity training. Mm-hmm. Just wanted to put that out there as a little bit of breaking news.
That's big news.
Yeah.
That's very, very big news. There are going to be some people out there who are going to say, okay, that is a punishment. There are going to be others out there who say, not enough. They want blood. That's just reality. I've faced it and I've seen it. I've had, in my many, many, many dozens and dozens and dozens of meetings with those in the leaders of the LGBTQ community here, I have found an unbelievable, extraordinary, by and large, community of forgiveness and mercy and grace. And I could rip off the names: Ryan Messer, Evan Millward. There are just so many others. Sid Ziegler nationally out in California. Rick Worth over at the Children's Home of Northern Kentucky. All gay men. And I've also sat face-to-face with many others who ripped me up one side and down the other, right to my face and publicly. And that's okay. That's totally okay. There are extremes in this world. There's out here, and there's out here, and then there's here. And I think most of us in this world do not want to see blood. I really believe that. There are a lot out there that do on this side, and there are a lot out there that do on that side, and they're entitled to their opinion just as much as everybody else. But I've never understood rooting for people to be ruined. Now, did those people bring it on themselves? Did I bring it on myself? 100%. No doubt about it. If I could turn back the clock, would I do it all over again? No doubt about it. Have I come to learn what that word that I said and that Bob Huggins said, what that word means to so many in the gay community? No question about it. And I'm forever sorry about it. And I'm ashamed of it, and I'm embarrassed by it. And some nights keeps you awake. But I don't know at the end of the day for anybody. And I have a lot of people out there just like you that I don't like. And I don't like what they stand for, and I don't like some of the things that they do. And does that mean all of a sudden that their entire world should be completely torn apart? I don't root for that for anybody. Some out there do. And many of you have let me have it. And that's okay. I love the ones who let you have it face to face. I love the ones who just tell you to your face. And if you want to let me have it on the internet, put your name on it. Don't hide behind some fake account. Okay? That's okay. And I mean, I've had guys here in town, a couple of guys on city council, that ripped me publicly, and when they had a chance to sit down face to face, ripped me in person, and then we had a chance to talk and visit and talk for a long time and have gotten to know each other ever since. And I think we have found common ground that, there's a lot more to people in this world than maybe one thing or one moment of their lives. There's a lot more to every single one of us. I thought Paul Daugherty wrote at least something that's food for thought, even if you wanted Bob Huggins fired yesterday, or today, or forever. Does that exchange define who he is and what he has done for 40 plus years? Where he's become a father figure to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young men, primarily African-American men, who most never had a dad around, and all would tell you that. In the book that Bill Cook wrote about Bob Huggins, it goes on to talk about all of these players 30 years ago, that to this day, they look at Bob Huggins as being their father and the difference that he has made in their lives. Does that count for anything? That's up to you to decide. It's not up to me. Anyway, Paul, thanks for that breaking news and that update. Okay?
Yep. Just wanted to get that.
I want to get back to, real quick, to this Chiefs thing, because do we all agree, or should this even be debatable? Do we all agree that Kansas City will be the opening game at home in the NFL schedule this year?
Well,
I mean, is that a slam dunk for you?
Kansas City and Philadelphia, probably, right?
Well, there's rumors that it's week 2. From Donna Kelsey, the mom of the Kelsey brothers.
Okay.
So I don't know how legitimate that is, but Tom, I don't know. I can't quite remember, but the opening games have not. Well, the last couple seasons have not been. Like, wasn't it Tom Brady and the Cowboys last year?
Yes.
Or was that the Sunday night opener? I can't remember all the different.
That's a good question.
But there's been.
I think the Rams did open the season last year on Thursday night.
It's usually the Super Bowl winner and another team. I just can't remember. Was it the Rams and Bills, and then they got mollywopped that game?
Haven't heard that term in a while.
I've never heard that term.
I've heard it, but I haven't heard it in a while.
Mollywopped? Is that?
I don't think that's
the term. Tom.
Beat them bad.
Beat them bad. Beat them down. But, anyways, I do think it's going to be the Chiefs. But if you look at the Chiefs, they play the Bills. That could be potentially what they do. They They play Miami, which that's already been determined, I think, where they play that at. They have a divisional opponent that they could play, Chargers, Denver, Raiders, of course. They play – man, there's not very many – they have got a lot of easy games at home. They play Detroit.
You talking about the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Well, they have divisional games against Denver, the Chargers, and Las Vegas. Okay?
Yeah.
And then of the remaining games, you have Buffalo, Bengals take that one out, Miami take that one out, because that's going to be in Europe. So now you're down to, if you want to put the Chiefs on week 1, you're down to Philadelphia, rematch of the Super Bowl,
Yep.
the Detroit Lions,
Up and coming.
Chicago Bears, no chance.
No chance.
And Cincinnati Bengals, and Buffalo Bills. For me, if it's not Philadelphia, which is what I would want to see, and if I'm the league, that's what I want to see.
Right.
Right? I want Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, this Philadelphia defense. They've added to it by bringing in Carter. They bring in Smith. They got all these animals chasing the quarterback all over the place and lighting people up, right?
Right.
All right, that's a game I want to see. But if not, the next one I want to see, since we know it's not the Bengals, is Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree, Tom. I think in that order, Eagles, Bills, those are the two teams I want to see. If it ends up not being, though, the Chiefs opening day, what matchup do you think it's going to be? If it's not the Chiefs on the opening.
The only other team that you're going to think about, the other two teams that you're going to think about, if you just want ratings, in the opening game of an NFL season are going to be through the roof ratings-wise no matter what, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, the Cowboys got to the playoffs and again, lay an egg, right? But they're the ratings team, the Dallas Cowboys. You got Philadelphia. Let's take a look at what Philadelphia's what does Philadelphia's home schedule look like if you were going to start the season there? Let's see what they'll look like. So you have, obviously, their divisional games. You're not going to put a divisional game on week 1. You're not going to do that.
No.
Right?
No.
Okay.
So they play the Bills, the 49ers.
Now, see, there's
Yeah,
right out of the gate, NFC Championship game, right?
Right.
Okay, possibility.
Yeah, I could see that. Obviously the Cowboys, Miami, and Vikings. If I were the league, I think it's probably going to be. It should be the Eagles and the Chiefs. That's what it should be.
Yes.
But just from what I've heard, I'm going to trust Donna Kelsey because of her two sons.
Donna.
And how she's been not a favorite of the NFL, but she probably could know something. If she does know something, she could know something, is how I'm going to put it. I would actually do Dallas versus Eagles as the opening day one. Just because the Dallas Cowboys are the ratings and the Philadelphia Eagles, that's a heated rivalry. It's two really good teams, and they split. I'm pretty sure they split games last year. So that's what I would do if I were the league.
All right. Okay, so we cover that, but let's get to what people really want to talk about as far as what you want to talk about, and that would be, who do you want the Bengals season opener to be? Now, here are your options, right? We know it's not Thursday night, so it could be just a regular old 1 o'clock game. I don't think there's any way on God's green earth the Bengals are not playing either Sunday night or Monday night. They will be on in prime time that opening weekend against somebody. My opinion. So I want all of you to think about this. All right? We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back, and I want to hear from the chat. The Bengals season opener, should it be on Sunday afternoon? Should it be on Sunday night? Or should it be on ba-ba-ba-ba? You know what that is?
Monday night.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun 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 dun.
Reed, that's right. Monday Night Football. Reed says you can't play at 1 o'clock at home because the Reds play. Okay, so call it a 4:30 game.
Even better.
I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, the Reds are going to have about 8,000 people at the game that day when the Bengals are opening up. I don't care who they play that weekend.
They'll be competing for a wild card spot. They'll be selling the place out.
Did they expand where half the teams in the league make it? If they did, they still wouldn't make it.
Oh, that hurts.
It's the truth.
They're 15 and 20. They got some wiggle room there.
They do have. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. They get some wiggle room. All right, Ham and Eggers. We're going to talk about who you want the Bengals to play. The season opener. Okay? Could be at home. Could be on the road. 1P, 4:30p, 8p, Sunday night. Or Ham and Eggers. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Take it away.
It's that time of the show, the Ham and Eggers. These guys are great. Trust me, I would know. I introduce all the best segments.
Bengals report. Oh, go ahead. Casey, you had it.
I was just about to say before you start that we're going to get right into the Reds right after we talk about the opening game for the Bengals. And we're also going to potentially, I don't know if we'll have enough time, do the logo tier maker for the NFL teams. And then we might do some phone calls if we have enough time. I will put up the phone number here shortly for everyone to dial in so we can see what the interest is in that. And you just call in, enter in the code, and you'll be put in a waiting room, okay? So we'll get to that here in a minute. But before you start doing this, I wanted to show something. You know what? Let's do the promos.
Okay, I'll roll through it real quick.
Yep.
The Bengals Report is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data-centered world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing models
to improve efficiency and productivity.
I think what I'm going to start doing is just backing up where I stop it and seeing how much of the ad you can do just on your own.
Oh, that would be tough.
By the end, you just do the whole ad on your own. Visit Encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here. There is also a new premium alkaline water, and it is Pawnee. We have got a bottle over right here to the right of us. Tastes fantastic. Made in Hamilton, Ohio, Pawnee uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that many other brands use. The result is a healthy alkaline water that is also the best tasting water in the world. Visit their website at pawneewater.com. That's PAHHNI water.com, PAHHNI water.com to see where you can buy this great tasting water. Drink Pawnee Water, get your coffee from UDF, bet with Betfred, and get your technology solutions from Encore.tech. I actually pubbed Pawnee Water yesterday. I was down there meeting with a nutritionist to try to figure out if I can eat a little healthier, maybe gain a little weight, look a little older, actually get my physical life together. And we were going through waters, and I pitched him Pawnee Water. Big on the idea. All right. What do we got here, Casey?
We had this huge fight in the chat yesterday about, Chad, you being a Goshen guy. I get it. You dug me a little bit. And there was some fighting, and I put you in timeout, and that's not really nice. But I just wanted to show this last little closing argument here that we currently are the winners of the game against Goshen. We beat them 45-22 this last year. So trophies here in Blanchester. I don't know if you want to take that from us or not, Chad, but we'll see. We'll see what you guys can do this upcoming season. Tom, who's your team for week one? Week one opponent for the Bengals.
All right, look, there are a couple things here. Our good friend Paul Daner Jr. from The Athletic points out, okay, if you're thinking about primetime games for the Bengals, if you want to get off to a good start, you probably better play at home. I had no idea of this. This note from Paul Daner Jr. Joe Burrow has ended, all kinds of streaks since he took over as quarterback. Playoff wins. He's had a Super Bowl appearance, long winning streaks, okay, you name it. One thing, though, remains. The Bengals have lost 13 consecutive road primetime games. 13 in a row. Burrow has started 3 of those. In fact, in this century, the Bengals in road primetime games are 1-22. The last time they won a road primetime game, you have to go back to 2013, and that was a Thursday night game against Philadelphia on the road. Think about that for a minute. So, with that in mind, if I am thinking who would I like to see him play, season opener, I think the game without a doubt. Don't the Buffalo Bills come to town?
Yeah.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay, come on. That right there to me is, that game occurred on a Monday night with Damar Hamlin, right?
Right.
There's a very good chance he's coming back to play this year.
Yeah. He's on the roster.
Working out. For me, biggest no-brainer in the league. Biggest no-brainer. I'd put it on Sunday night instead of Monday night. It would be the Bengals and the Buffalo Bills at Paycor Stadium. Although putting it on Monday night, that completes the circle, especially if that young man's on the field, right?
Right. The storyline's all there. And plus, I don't know if you mentioned this, but you don't want that possibility that Damar Hamlin gets hurt before they play. You know, you want to complete that storyline, that arc, before anyone gets hurt.
Yep.
Or before the teams aren't competitive, like if they were to lose some guys. So I agree with that. I was not actually going to go there, mainly because I think that you can maybe get away with that later on. But that is a really good way to start the season. The first Monday night game of the year, Buffalo versus Cincinnati, you complete that storyline. That's a no-brainer for the league.
Yep.
I was actually going to go with the Ravens.
I like that too.
Or just a divisional opponent as their opening game. I like playing divisional opponents' opening games because that's the team that you know the best, because you play them twice a year anyways. You get one of those divisional games out of the way. You get potentially first place early on in the season. Just a lot of benefits from that game. It's kind of the same argument with the Chiefs, but to a different extent, because you get another chance to play them, and it's for your division, and you get to make your placeholder in the division. Like you get to crown yourself at first. Not crown, but I'm struggling with the word I'm trying to think of here. But you get to put yourself at assert yourself at first place to start the season.
Or lay an egg like they did against a divisional opponent last year.
Well, they should have won that game, but
they didn't.
They didn't.
And Burrow got nearly knocked out for the season. His first pass attempt's a pick 6, if I remember right. Right?
Yeah, but
okay.
There was a lot of circumstances to that game.
But they more than made up for that. Paul?
I think
is your game, real quick, Casey, to make sure I got it, you want Baltimore here in the season opener? Or Buffalo? Which one you want?
I want Baltimore.
Okay. Lamar Jackson rolling into town.
Yep.
Some in the chat say overrated Lamar Jackson.
Tom, your pick was Buffalo.
For sure.
Okay, and your pick was Baltimore?
Yeah.
Okay, those were my 2 picks. I will go with the... Okay, I'm just going to pick one of the home teams because it would be fun to see them play the 49ers on the road, but I would rather it be a home game to open the season. Let's go with the Colts at home. Let's get a W under our belt.
So that would be an afternoon game because you're not putting that game in prime time.
No, let's get the Colts out of the way. Week 1. Get a win.
Just get an easy one.
Just get a win under your belt. I don't need to see Minnesota at 1 o'clock at home. Don't need to see that.
Well, you don't have any faith in Anthony Richardson?
Well, Casey, we know that's your guy.
It's your guy, Casey.
That's your guy.
That's my guy.
Anthony Richardson.
Let's,
That's your guy.
I
We'll
would
see how his career goes. I hope it goes well because he seems like a decent young man.
I sure hope so. I've heard a lot of good things so far about him and just what he's done at the organization so far. Some of the training camp stuff. But
Always root for him. Always root for him.
I'll go with the Colts at home.
You really believe the Colts are going to be – I'm not saying what you want. I'm asking what you think is going to happen.
Oh, I thought you said what you want.
No, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I mean –
What I would like is to see a team that the Bengals could easily beat at home in week 1. What I think will happen would be the Bills or the Ravens.
Doesn't it have to be the Bills?
On Monday night, it feels like.
Doesn't it have to be the Bills?
I mean,
2 of the top teams, 2 of the top quarterbacks, and everything that happened on that tragic, nearly – it was tragic, but it didn't turn out tragic. It was terrible when it happened. But thank God, and thank God through the help of those on the field at the time and those here in Cincinnati and the medical people and him coming back now. It has to be the Bills and the Bengals. If you put that game on a Monday night in October or November, it's not the same. It would be good, but it's not the same. Agree or disagree?
I don't know. I think it would be. I think whenever they play this Bills game, it's going to mean a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to mean a lot. The problem, like I said before, is like the injury thing. Like if DeMar Hamlin got hurt and he missed the Bengals game, oh man, they just missed the gold rush of just a media material that was there. You're missing out on the ratings. He's got to be there for it to matter, right? So that's why.
But they're not. They don't have time to know that. They're releasing the schedule tomorrow night.
I know, but that's
he's
what
saying
I'm saying.
that's why they should put it week 1 and then.
Yeah.
That's why they should do it early.
Yep.
Get it out of the way. Make sure that he's there. And maybe he's not going to be ready and it'll get pushed back because of that. That could be a case too. I don't know. It'd be that's a tough one, but I think they should get it done early if he's healthy and ready to go by week 1.
Okay. All right. I think it's got to be the Bills. It has to be. And if it's not, I hope it's a Ravens. How would you feel about a road opener for the Bengals? Going to Baltimore. Going to Pittsburgh. Going to Cleveland.
Well,
going to the 49ers. How about Bengals v. 49ers in San Francisco? Week 1.
That would make me nervous. Really nervous.
I got to tell you, it wouldn't make me nervous.
What?
It would not make me nervous at all.
That defensive line.
Because I understand the defensive line, but I mean, as far as a young secondary or new secondary and play, the 49ers ain't carving somebody up. Now, they can run it.
I thought Brock Purdy was your guy.
I like Brock Purdy. I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be back. He says he is, but I don't know if he is, and I don't know much at all, and I don't think the 49ers know much at all about Trey Lance. What do you know about him? I mean, do you know anything more about him than you do Jordan Love in Green Bay? I don't.
No, not really.
Now, But they got some dudes that can run it, and they got some dudes that can get to the quarterback. There's no doubt about that. So if you're worried about your offensive line there in week 1 and the things we talked about earlier with Jonah Williams at right tackle, whoever's at right tackle, Bosa and those guys, that certainly would concern you to play them in week 1. But we will find out officially tomorrow night. I wonder if the league's going to leak out a few more games tonight. I mean, they let out this Bengals v. Chiefs in Week 17, right? They let out, in fact, they announced the games that are going to be played in Europe, with 3 in London and 2 in Frankfurt, Germany, which, by the way, you talk about one of the most fun places in the world is Frankfurt, Germany. I was over there doing NFL Europe for Fox.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Is that a big league place? Had a couple games over there. Anyway. Okay, so we'll find out if maybe the league, lets a kind of other few things slip out. The big stuff they're not going to let slip out. They're not going to let slip out the season opener or that first weekend of Sunday night or Monday night football. All right, anything else football-wise, Casey or Paul, you guys would like to cover before we get to the Bengalis? Before we get to the Redlegs, or before we get to the NBA? Anything else on your mind?
No, let's get right into the Redlegs.
Okay. All right. They catch a break last night, as I said in the monologue. And you know what? Before we get right to the Reds, I know we're only a month plus into the season, but this whole Mets thing just has a bad vibe about it. Right? Everybody wondered, including here on the program, when they went out and spent all this money on Scherzer and Verlander. Verlander starting tonight against Hunter Green. If you're into baseball and you want to go see this, future Hall of Famer against, the hardest throwing pitcher in Major League Baseball, who has been very mediocre so far this year, and that's Hunter Green. But big-time prospect. A lot of people expecting big things from Hunter Green. Tonight, they square off with one another at Great American Ballpark. Are either one of you going to the game tonight?
Are tickets available?
I believe they are.
Who knows? Maybe I can convince Alex to go down there. Oh, no, she's got something going on. I'm free. I could go down there, watch them.
I will not be there. I will not be there tonight. I might try and sneak out and play golf tonight. It's a nice night, tonight and tomorrow. Don't know 100% yet, but I will not be at the Reds game tonight.
Okay, but,
But yeah,
so Scherzer doesn't start last night.
Verlander tonight.
And Scherzer has been, less than average so far this year. He's already been suspended for 10 games this year for the stuff on his glove, right? And the guy's a future Hall of Famer. Total gamer, would be at the top of the list of NCN, no doubt about it. But both of those guys are knocking on the door of 40. Verlander has only been able to make one start the whole year. And we're only a month and a half in, but that was in Detroit against a team he came up with. And he was only able to go 5 innings in that game. Gave up back-to-back home runs in the first. The only 2 runs he allowed, 4 scoreless after that. Second start tonight. They've lost 12 out of 15 games. And their manager, Buck Showalter, who rarely gets thrown out of games. In fact, it's the first time he's been thrown out of a game this year. He gets run last night. Do you think there's any chance in the world, Paul? Any chance in the world that Buck Showalter is feeling some heat?
Oh, man. I don't know.
New York.
I'm sure he's feeling some heat just because of the New York media and how that works. But I don't know, Tom. You would know the dynamics much better than I would there as far as Buck goes and how the New York media works. It's a tough situation for him to be in the sense of the money that they've spent, the investment from ownership and everything else, and you're just not seeing the results on the field at all. Mets fans are extremely frustrated. They should be competing at a much higher level than they are, and they suck. They're not good. They are really, really bad.
There's no doubt. I mean, if you're asking me the question, do I think he's in trouble right now? No. They've spent a fortune on a veteran team. He is a veteran manager taking multiple teams to the playoffs. The knock on Showalter, of course, is what happens once you get to the playoffs. I think he's only won one playoff series in his career. I think. It's one. Now, he managed some bad teams in Baltimore and was there for a long, long time. And the guy is an outstanding major league manager. But, the jokes go that, when he leaves, all of a sudden, the year after he leaves a team, they go and play or win the World Series, right? It happened when he was with the Yankees. He leaves 2.5 years ahead of time to take over the Diamondbacks, right? Torrey comes in, Yankees win the World Series. He goes to Arizona. He's there for the first 3 years of the franchise. Gets them to the playoffs. They get beat by the Mets in the opening round. He gets fired. Bob Brenly walks in the door, wins a World Series the next year. He goes down to Texas, right? Builds up the Rangers a whole 9 yards. He gets run. New guy comes in, Washington. They play in the World Series. Now he's in New York again with the Mets. I think he's a great manager. But I don't think he's in trouble yet because they spent too much money on him. They spent too much money on their team to all of a sudden be pressing the panic button 2 games under 500 a month and a half into the season. Meanwhile, for the Redlegs, TJ Friedl. I mean, is this guy for you? Paul Fritchner, is TJ Friedl. We wondered at the beginning of the year, I wondered whether they had more than 2 players, and I'm taking Votto out of the mix because he's gone at the end of the year. They had 2 players that you would build a foundation with moving forward. Although, let me say, right opportunity came along. Somebody wants India. Somebody wants Stevenson. If the price is right, none of these guys not one is untouchable. But there are 2 guys you're going to build it on, and I'm taking the pitching staff out of the equation here. We know those front 3 guys are who they're building the whole thing around. Position player-wise, you have Stevenson and you have India. Is Friedl all of a sudden a guy you're looking at and saying, you know what? He could be a foundational piece for this franchise.
I mean, if he keeps up playing the way he is right now, for sure. I mean, look at what he's hitting, over 300. He's making plays defensively. Friedl has been playing at an all-star level. There's no other way to say it. He's been playing at an all-star level so far this season, and if he keeps that up, it goes back to what we always talk about here. It's how baseball works. It's sustained success. Can a guy like TJ Friedl, who wasn't expected to be some kind of cornerstone piece or somebody that you built around, can he turn into something like that? Can he keep this up over the course of an entire season? You're starting to get a bigger sample size now that you're 30, 40 games into the season.
Yep.
But can he keep all of those numbers up by the 4th of July, by August 1st? If he's still hitting 280, 295 by August 1st, then you got something there.
Well, he's currently at 325 for the season.
That won't keep up. But yeah.
Just for the month of May alone, which has only been 10 days, he's averaging .417.
Yep.
And that's pretty dang good.
All right, it's his teaching Casey now.
I was going to let you do it.
We're teaching Casey. You ready, big boy?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, now look, this isn't like, calling the kid out in class. This isn't one of those deals. This is a welcoming, inclusive show off the bench. Okay? So we are always supporting one another. This is a safe space, as your generation likes to say.
Yep.
Okay? So this is where Casey should feel no embarrassment, no nothing. That is not the idea. So, Casey, when you're giving somebody's batting average, as you were just starting to do, right, we're going to lose the point. So you're just going to say, if you look at the last 10 days, TJ Friedel's batting average is
417.
417.
417.
Well, I said it right the first time.
You did say it right.
I said
the
it right
first
when
time.
I was talking about the whole season. when I read it, I
417.
literally read it off the screen.
His OPS, he'd be hitting at over 1,000. His OPS would be over 1,000. Like, that's how you would read that.
Over 1,000.
Yeah, so like 1190 would be his OPS.
Gotcha. Okay.
Take away the punctuation.
So go ahead. You were starting to say about Friedel. We move on.
Well, just that in this month alone, 417 is not bad.
Not bad. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then Jonathan India, he's the next closest, and he's at 307. And for the month, he's at 385. I mean, the team just in this month alone has been hitting really well.
Yes, they have.
At least the guys that need to hit well.
Yep.
And that's why they've been winning. I also like to point out, Tom, I wore the Viking helmet the entire show yesterday.
And
they
you
won.
haven't put it on, and we have 37 minutes left in the show today.
We're testing it out, folks. We're testing it out. We're testing the waters, making sure that the thing is not directly tied to them winning and losing.
It's really sad watching a guy like Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer get older, especially somebody like Scherzer who meant so much to me as a Nationals fan in the last 10 years, and watching him dominate. Back in 2015, that was the year that Bryce Harper won the MVP. The Nationals didn't even make the playoffs that year. But Scherzer, it felt like every time Scherzer went out and pitched, you felt like he was going to throw a no-hitter. He threw two, threw one against the Mets, and he threw one against the Pirates, which should have been a perfect game. I rewatched the highlights of that last night. I think it was,
Last night?
well, Scherzer was pitching, so it kind of brought it up in my mind.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember that game, Tom, but that was the game that Scherzer had 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 strikes in the 9th inning, and Jose Tabata leaned in on the pitch, and he was awarded first base, and he still got the no-hitter. That was the only runner that reached. But the umpire should have kept Tabata in the box. Only reason I bring that up was because he was going to pitch last night. He got scratched. Just, it's a bummer seeing these guys get older and not be quite as dominant as they always were, because prime Max Scherzer, really, really prime Max Scherzer was just one of the most fun pitchers of this generation to watch. When he would stomp around the mound, get mad at his manager for coming out to get him from the game, wouldn't want to give up the ball, talking to himself, spitting at himself, screaming at himself. Just one of the most entertaining guys to watch. And now, he gets suspended for the whatever it is on the ball, and then he gets scratched in the start. It's a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to watch when you watch guys. And look, the Reds fans are going to go through this. He's not in uniform yet, but this year with Votto. Right?
Yeah.
Is watching a guy get old. And it doesn't mean he can't come back whenever he comes back. If he comes back, it doesn't mean he can't come back and play well. And clearly, Votto and Scherzer are in 2 different galaxies right now. Scherzer is still throwing the ball very well. He's been stunted by a couple of injuries this year. He had a 10-game suspension. He was late getting started in spring training. I think everybody agrees that Scherzer is going to get it together. He may not be the guy of 2015 or whatever, but he is going to get it together because he's still got good stuff. Verlander still has great stuff. He's just got to get healthy.
He's just got to be healthy.
That's right.
He was fine last
second. But that's the problem with the older guys. And, I mean, you say it all the time. And, look, I'm not an athlete, and most of you in the chat aren't. I mean, stuff all of a sudden just starts happening when you get older for no reason at all. And Scherzer and Verlander are in great physical condition. They both look great. They're lean. They've stayed fit. The whole 9 yards. They haven't gotten heavy. But all of a sudden, as you get older, and I'm not telling anybody this isn't breaking news, it's like Scherzer saying, all of a sudden you wake up and your neck's locked up. Well, why did that happen? How did that happen? Didn't happen when you were 27.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And like Reed points out in the chat, Verlander skill-wise, like on the mound, he's been fine, more than fine. Could argue he's been as good as he's ever been. But you get older, things start to break down, get hurt, kicking around. You also went to the Mets.
You don't like the Mets?
Well, if you pitch for the Mets, you're not going to pitch. You're going to get hurt. It's just how it works. I don't know why that franchise is as cursed as they are with pitching, but whether it's DeGrom, Syndergaard, any of those
who
guys.
left the game with a cut finger last night after 1 inning?
Who did?
Syndergaard.
Oh. Yeah.
Not for the Mets, obviously.
But any of those guys. You get in the game for the Mets, you're not pitching. It's just as simple as that. Now you see Scherzer and Verlander the same way.
That's a danger when you sign those guys to big money contracts at their age. You are hoping they have, as the saying goes, and look, Verlander might pitch. Scherzer might pitch for 4 or 5 more years and be great. I don't know. You don't know. We don't have a crystal ball, right?
They're competitive enough.
They're competitive
enough. As men,
yes,
they are both competitive enough. Verlander, obviously, I would give the edge to right now as far as on the field skill.
Yep.
Scherzer feels like he's not nearly at that level. Verlander's just got to stay healthy.
You know, Richard Stites brings up a great point. Does the pitch clock bother the more veteran pitchers? I think that's a very good question.
Yeah, no idea.
It's a very, very interesting question. Okay, most people in the chat have been saying they're happy with the way the Reds have played so far this year. And I would concur. They've hit better, as Casey pointed out. They've hit a lot better than I would have thought. Again, I lost that crystal ball a long time ago. In fact, I don't think I've ever found it. But they've hit a lot better than I thought they would. And look, if you're going to give them credit for hitting better than you thought they would, which they have, then you also have to ask the question, as we asked my dad yesterday, where are they really? What do you really think about Green, Lodolo, and Ashcraft? What do you really think so far? Small sample size, as you point out. I mean, if you had to rank them in order, I would say, tell me if you agree or disagree. I would say Ashcraft 1, coming off the worst start of his major league career. Nonetheless, Ashcraft 1. And I would say a third place tie without even a second place between Green and Lodolo. Lodolo had that nice run, but the last 3, 4, 5 starts have not been good.
No.
And Hunter Green has been mediocre at best. So I don't even have a second place. I put them both in third. You?
PB's Ghost wonders if Hunter Green is a Homer Bailey. I'm not going to go there yet. He's so young.
Yeah, you can't go there.
Do that
no
yet.
way. You come on now, PB's Ghost. We love you and you have great opinions on here, but come on.
As far as the pitchers go, if you're going to ask me right this second, which of the 3 would I rather go out in a wild card game to try and win?
No. I'm asking you so far the way they've pitched this season. How would you rank?
Yeah.
I get what you. Okay, that's fair.
Like,
go ahead.
Like if I'm just saying, like if you're looking at one guy there that you need, Ashcraft's my guy right now. Seems like consistently over the course of the season he's been good. And I don't have his baseball reference up yet right in front of me, but it feels to me, at least from watching him night in and night out, that if you need a guy to go out there and give you some good innings, it's been Graham that's been able to navigate some of those things. 2-1. 3.82, 30 strikeouts, 1.3 whip. I mean, yeah, all right. I'll go with Ashcraft.
Yeah, I would go Ashcraft.
They get lit up in the last one, though.
Lodolo, Green. That would be my list right now.
So he's made 5 starts this year? Graham? No, more than that. Right? He has to have made more than that.
Who's that?
I'm looking at his last 5. That's my bad. I'm looking at his last 5 starts, Graham Ashcraft.
Okay.
But either way, pulling it out, hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in a start this year outside of the last one where he gave up 8. And that's one of those things, again, like what I was talking about before. You You just throw that to the side, that one on Saturday or Sunday, the 17-4 game, whichever day that was, Sunday. Throw it to the side.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right, but look, a lot of people, in this chat, did Homer Bailey live up to the contract that he was given? No. But it's pointed out in the chat, and I would agree, Homer Bailey was not a disaster until the last year or two of that contract, when injuries started to catch up with him. But if you go back to when he became a starter, a full-time starter, okay? Just like Hunter Green was last year, right? And Lodolo last year. Ashcraft missed a lot of time. All of them missed a little bit of time. But they were able to make roughly the same number of starts last year, their first full year in the big leagues, as Bailey made his first year in the big leagues. Homer Bailey's first full year in the major leagues, he goes 8-5 in 20 starts, and he has a 4.5 ERA. Is that great? No. Disaster? Not a chance. The next year, he only makes 19 starts, had to battle through some injuries. His ERA is, again, at 4.5. But now let's go through the next 4 years of Bailey's career. He gets the ERA down to 4.4, wins 9 games. The next 3 years, he goes 13-10, ERA at 3.6, 208 innings. Next year, 11-12, 3.4 ERA, 209 innings. The next year, he wins 9, 3.7 ERA, and pitches, only makes 23 starts that year. That's when the injury started, and the last 4 or 5 years were just a disaster for Bailey after that. Do you think Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Ashcraft, let's take Ashcraft out, because some in the chat have said Lodolo is a left-handed Homer Bailey and Green is Homer Bailey. You think Homer Bailey or Nick Lodolo are going to put up 3 straight years, starting, let's say, next year, their 3rd year in the big leagues, with an ERA at 3.5 for 3 straight years and pitch over 200 innings? I don't know the answer. What do you think?
I don't know the answer, Tom. I got no idea, Tom.
I don't know either,
I got
but
no
I'm just saying,
idea.
Start being careful when you start talking about, comparing guys and killing Bailey and all that kind of thing. I mean, look, I lit up Bailey plenty of times on the air. Plenty of times. Him and my dad don't even speak to each other. But and he's an interesting dude, man. I mean, he can be hard to like, but he also can be an extraordinarily interesting guy to talk to. And we're going to have him on this show. I left him alone because I think I brought up to many of you who may not remember that I was stunned when I reached out to Homer Bailey about a month and a half ago about coming on the show and found out that he is in college getting his degree at TCU, of all places, in ranch management. He grew up on a chicken farm. Hundreds of thousands of chickens on this farm. And now he wants to get into ranch management. Maybe he's going to take over his family's ranch. I don't know what the deal is on that. But I thought it was pretty impressive. Which, by the way, all you Ohio State haters, all of you Buckeye haters, you never commented on Justin Fields going back and finishing his degree. He was in Ohio State's commencement ceremony the other day.
I saw that. What would you like me to say on that, Tom?
I'm just saying, all you guys hate on the Buckeyes all the time. That's all I'm saying. All you guys are hating on the Buckeyes all the time.
There's a little success for a Ohio State quarterback.
Dig.
An honorary. Alex Wallace's honorary degree. It was not an honorary degree. And Ronnie Smith, you're right. Let bygones be bygones, Homer. Let it go. All right, NBA.
Oh, yeah.
You got to admit. And we talked about the stars yesterday, right? It's been said the 3 best players so far in this postseason of all the teams left in the NBA, right? It's been said the 3 best players so far this season, postseason, have been LeBron, no particular order, LeBron James, Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, right? Embiid is starting to enter that conversation a little bit, right? But Jokic, I'm wrong, 4 best. Jokic, Devin Booker, LeBron, Jimmy Butler. Which guy takes his team the furthest into the postseason?
LeBron.
Why?
Because he's playing. You mean this current postseason?
This current postseason.
Yes.
So you're saying you think LeBron is going to lead if they can finish off their series, and if Denver can finish off Phoenix, you think LeBron leads the Lakers past the Nuggets?
Yes.
Casey?
I'm going to say the 76ers. I really believe in the process, as we like to call it, for Joel Embiid. I've really loved
Did you
this.
just say the process?
Yeah, trust the process, Tom.
He is the process. I mean, quite literally the one that invented
I've already used some terminology from your generation today with safe space. That's what this place is. We want it to be.
Yeah,
Go
it
ahead.
is a
I
safe
didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I really do think Joel can win it all. I really do. When I look at this team and where they have to, like, who they got to play next, right?
Yep.
If they do in fact beat the Celtics, they're probably going to play Jimmy Butler in the Heat, and I don't know, man. I just, if it's superstar versus superstars, I'll take the bigger superstars than James Harden and Joel over Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo.
That would be Adebayo.
It's all right.
And, I think the 76ers have a better overall. They have better talent. Like they have
They
bigger
do.
superstars.
I think we agree with that. You
But
agree with
maybe-
that, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay.
But maybe the Heat are better balanced overall.
That's a valid point as well.
I think that's going to be my biggest game to watch out of the East Finals, or just out of the finals, in my opinion. The most underrated as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Sixers can do. Like I've said yesterday, I just really want to see if the Sixers can get to the title. Can they get to the NBA Finals? And if the Sixers play the Lakers in the NBA Finals, that would be an elite finals. Philadelphia against LA, that would be just what the NBA wants.
It also completes the quadfecta of Philadelphia teams making it to the finals in 2023, I believe. Or within the sporting.
The Flyers did? Did the Flyers play the Avalanche last year?
Well, it was the Eagles, and it would be the FC, or not FC team.
Oh,
the
you're
football
right.
club.
Philadelphia Union.
And then who else was it? The baseball team.
The
Right?
Phillies.
Phillies. So all 3 of those, and then this would be a quadfecta
Got it.
if the 76ers make it. So
You know, the Anthony Davis versus Jokic thing. I was looking up last night a little bit. Have you ever seen, if they end up going head-to-head, right now there are other players on each team. Denver will be the number 1 seed. Lakers trying to finish it off. That's not a done deal, even though it's 3-1. But the Lakers are up 3-1 on Golden State. And Denver, that's not a done deal either because Game 6 is in Phoenix of that series. And the Suns won their 2 games in that series already at home. But if it's Jokic versus Anthony Davis, now they're different players, right? But in the head-to-head meetings between Davis and Jokic, Davis has overwhelmingly outplayed Jokic. 14-11 record, including 4-1 in the postseason. Anthony Davis has averaged 27 points and 9 rebounds a game. Jokic has averaged only 19 points per game. And 9 rebounds, so a wash on the rebounds, right? And Jokic is always going to have more assists than Davis. But Davis does present an enormous challenge for the guy. Even though Embiid won the MVP, Jokic should have won it again this year. His numbers were better this year than they were the last 2 years he won the MVP. He's the best player in the league. Agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that mean anything to you that Davis has put up those kind of numbers going up head-to-head against him?
I think so, and Davis has been defending at a pretty high level too. So if the question becomes, what can they get out of Anthony Davis? Can they get the consistency that they need out of Anthony Davis to have some success in the series? Things are setting up for the Lakers right now. And I think that a Lakers-Nuggets Western Conference Finals would be electric. And it's a shame Chris Paul's not getting a chance to do this right now with the Suns. I hate seeing him on the bench. I really wish Chris Paul had a chance here. And, you know, we go back to talking about these guys that are getting older.
Yep.
So we were talking about in baseball. Chris Paul, he's on the older end of things.
Is this the last time, you think, or do you think he'll have one more shot?
I don't know what the contract deal is, and trading for KD, and I think they'll be in the conversation in the West if he's around and KD's around and DeAndre Ayton and the rest. Like, they will be in the conversation. But it's a bummer that they get here to the Western Conference semis and just get their doors blown off. That game last night was never close. That game last night was – I watched almost the whole thing. It was never close. Chris Paul not being there is a dagger.
How about that whole thing with Jokic going over by the Suns' bench? Did you see that whole thing? He goes over there.
Ishbia.
Yeah, well, no, that was kind of a playful thing about the ball.
Oh, you're talking about last night.
Yeah, but I'm talking about I thought you were too talking about last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Ishbia thing happened the night.
No, I know that, but then last night there was a little playful moment between the two where he gave him the ball and all that kind of thing. And so, and look, I give it up to the Suns owner because he was the one that said, even though he was involved in that whole thing over down in the corner in game 4 in Phoenix, and he said, look, Jokic got a technical foul, but he's like, there's no way this guy should be suspended for the next game. Move on. And they had a little fun with it before the game. Both of them did. But last night, Jokic comes walking, timeout on the floor. Suns are huddling up. Jokic comes walking by, kind of leans into the huddle like he's listening to what's going on, right? KD gives him a little shove, and, the big flop, down goes Jokic. They tee up Durant.
Yep.
Right? And that whole thing. So, I mean, the guy is doing everything he can to get in the head of the Suns, and he probably gets in the head of every team he plays against. Do you think Chris Paul is going to retire?
No. I think he is competitive enough that he wants to try and give this another run where he's fully healthy and he's not sitting on the bench when it matters, which is what it feels like he always is.
You talk about great players. And look, I'm the first one to admit, in the regular season, I don't watch a lot of it, and his career speaks for itself, and some of you out there are going to be like, duh. But, man, Kevin Durant, I mean, that dude is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He really is unbelievable player. For his size, as tall as he is, and as athletic as he is, and look, he's been around the block for a long time too now. But that dude, when you get him on the floor, and he's had a problem staying on the floor, especially this year. He's had injuries, the trade, the whole 9 yards. But, man, I'm not so sure at the end of the day when he's healthy that he's still not one of the top 2, 3, 4 players in the league.
Yeah. No, I mean, he has been around for, I've told the story about seeing him in high school at Montrose Christian way back when. Or I never saw him personally. I never went to one of those games, but he was always the talk of the town. Went to high school just a few minutes from me and then went to Texas and then now in the NBA and feels like his career is just, I don't know. You do get a weird sense of his career because with the Thunder and he's bounced around and he's been hurt and then when he plays and then all the drama off the court when he gets on social media and everything. He's just a fascinating guy to watch. And what he can do on the court as one of the best true scorers that the game has ever seen.
No doubt.
Is special.
Still is now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, step out from 28 feet, knock one down with somebody in his face. Did that a couple of times last night.
He's so lanky.
Yep.
He's
he
not
can take
gonna,
it to the rack.
Yeah. Remember when it was a big deal when he was coming out of, I think it was coming out of college. Maybe it was the NBA draft combine. And he couldn't bench the 185. Remember that when that was such a big deal? Or maybe he couldn't bench in a certain number of times or whatever. And everybody, this big, it's just big spaghetti noodle. He's not, is he really built for every, but he is. And he can still score at the level that he's scoring at. And it's awesome to watch. I love a guy like Kevin Durant that is just, his act might get tired on people, but I enjoy seeing a guy go out there and perform at the level that he does and knowing that he's always going to be Kevin Durant. He's never going to be fake. He's going to be true to himself whenever, even if that might make some people angry. He's always just going to shoot it straight, tell it like it is, be himself online, be always online, and play some of the best basketball that you'll watch. And he's still at that level even all these years later.
All right. We got about 10 minutes left in the program here. Anything else we need to cover here, men? Is there anything on after us? Is box lunch today?
Reed is coming on for box lunch after us, yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else that's on your mind today?
I am trying to think if there's anything that we didn't have that we didn't cover.
All right, let me circle back one more time on the NBA playoffs. You
Okay.
continue to think about that because, after Philadelphia wins last night, and, that series has been a really weird series because you had Harden who had the monster game one. He had another big game, kind of disappeared for a couple of games, which has sort of been his MO in the postseason. He's never won a title like Paul, that kind of thing. But it almost looked like Philly last night. You talk about a game that was a complete tail kicking. I mean, that was a complete and utter dismantling in a Game 5 on the line on the opponent's home floor. Philadelphia destroyed Boston last night. I've never been a big Boston guy these last couple of years when everybody was all excited about Boston. And they've had a lot of success. But I don't like their team built for a playoff run. I never have. And maybe they'll make me eat my words. But do you think Boston can go in there, beat Philadelphia in Philly, and then come back? Because if they come back, I mean, last night notwithstanding, Philadelphia has a chance to win it at home. But Boston, by and large, has been great at home. Can Philadelphia still win that? I mean, Boston still win that series, yay or nay?
Boston has the talent to win the series, but after watching all these games, it feels like they've gotten run over. I don't see Boston winning the next two, but they have the talent to do it. I just don't see it happening. I think Philadelphia wins it.
Casey?
It might go to 7, but I think Philadelphia wins it.
Yeah, I think Philly wins it.
I do too.
Boston just hasn't shown me enough when it really, really matters. This team in the postseason.
Yep.
You can't fold like that. You can get beat. You can't get blown out.
Right. At home.
You can't turn in a game like that when the series is tied, you can't just no-show. And they completely no-showed. That game was never close.
Never close. In fact, I brought up in the monologue that the home crowd was booing the Celtics at the Garden last night when they fell behind 21 in the fourth quarter. All right, now look, you see the call up there. We've gotten away from this, and look, I know this is like Morse code here, trying to get in on this deal. Right, Casey?
I don't think it's that difficult.
All right. Let's see if we can sneak in a call. A couple of people are worried that you'll block the number, Casey, once you know who it is. So you can call 605-313-5854. And look, we're going to start doing more and more of this moving forward, okay? So for those of you that are regulars on the chat, those of you that are new to the chat, we're going to start doing more and more of this, of taking phone calls. So once you dial that number, here's where the Morse code comes into effect. Or as Sir Boy Wonder would say, the Norse code with the Viking helmet over there. And Casey, you punch in 537. They don't have to do a dash, do they?
No.
Okay. 537-047-6 and the star. Okay. I mean, some people, Casey, are still very upset thinking you have blocked them permanently from the chat, including Leif Erickson.
Oh, I didn't block Leif.
Leaf left on his own volition.
Why did he leave?
It's one of the greatest mysteries in the world.
Fred says, I'll call in on Friday if lines are open.
Well, lines are open.
Looked like we had somebody.
We did?
Might be. We'll see. Let's see.
We got to do something with technology here to make it easier. I don't know what it is, and if it costs too much money, maybe we can't do it.
Problem is having the screening that we need.
And look, listen, that's a great point. Okay, look, if you're gonna be a Jag, just don't call. Seriously, if you're gonna call in, okay, because we can't hit some cutoff button, right? If you're gonna call in just to do something, stupid. Right? Come on. All right? Let somebody else call in who actually might want to call in and talk about something. Or make a legitimate point about something, even if we disagree with it. We're all about open speech here. Do we have somebody ready to go?
We do.
Okay, who's in?
Yep.
Who's this?
TV's
How we doing?
How we doing, Tom?
I'm doing good. I'm glad you did. How you doing?
Not too bad. I wanted to call in because Reed and I have been teasing him about his high-pitched voice, and he asked if I sounded like Sam Elliott, so I want him to hear my voice. And just tell him I'm just riveting. I enjoy the chat. I love the show, and I love the direction you guys go, especially the stuff with Lee Ely and Tommy Lasorda a little while back. That stuff was hilarious. I love the chat, love ribbing some of the guys, teasing Casey with about him wielding the claw hammer. So you had to call in, so I figured being a regular, I'd give you a call. And I won't be there tomorrow. I got a doctor's appointment. I just had back surgery a couple of weeks ago.
How you doing after surgery? You hanging in there?
Yeah, it's a little better. Hopefully this one takes. I've had a few other things done, but this one's doing okay.
Good.
But I wanted to let you know, hey, I love it. Wanted to let you know I'm just razzing the guys, not taking anything personal. And Casey, please don't put me in chat jail anymore.
Oh, boy. PB, we're so glad you got that in before you got out of here. Hey, look, good luck on your back appointment tomorrow and your doctor's appointment. And we love having you here every day, and we appreciate you being here. So have a great rest of your day, and thanks for calling.
He already left.
That's awesome.
Good stuff.
Everybody chiming in about PB. See, now that's a nice call, right?
Yep.
I mean, he's having a little fun with Reed. He did sound a little bit like Sam Elliott there. I got to agree. Speaking of big leaguers, that's a big leaguer. Sam Elliott. Have you watched that show?
Not yet. I haven't gotten to it yet.
We got to get into some show talk tomorrow, okay?
Did you finish it?
Finish it off.
You finished it, and your lead's 11:56.
I did. I finished it off over the weekend. Okay. Stayed up till 1:38. 2 nights in a row.
It's Wednesday, and we're just finding this out?
Yeah, I finished it off. And
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, Breaking Bad. Finally finished it. Fantastic show. Fantastic. Very dark. Very depressing at the end.
But it was a great ending.
Oh, for sure. No doubt. But what is this thing now I'm seeing that is like a Breaking Bad movie that just popped up on Netflix yesterday?
El Camino?
Yeah, what is
that?
That's
Jesse got his own 2-hour movie spinoff. So they didn't do a whole series because they did Better Call Saul, which was the whole spinoff series for Saul Goodman. So they wanted to do some more content, but they didn't want to make a whole show out of Jesse. So they just gave him a 2-hour movie. It was pretty good.
Hey, we just found out, by the way, that Ronnie Smith, who's here regularly, is in Phoenix and watching our show today.
Yeah.
All right, so what I need tomorrow from some of you at home, and we've talked about this a little bit before, I need to find a new show that my wife and I can watch together because we always have one or two we watch, right? And we're going to have a lot more time, although the kids are coming back, going to be around all summer. But we have more time coming up to do that if we want to. We don't watch a lot of TV. In fact, it rarely ever gets turned on in our house. But the times where she and I decide, okay, we're going to find a show. So we've gone through a number of shows. Billions, we enjoyed that one. Right? Have you guys watched that? I would highly recommend Billions.
I have not watched that.
I would highly recommend it. It is fantastic. So Billions, we've gone through, come on, what's the Costner one? Come on.
Yellowstone?
Yeah, Yellowstone.
Oh.
I'm drawing a blank. We've been wrestling with, do we now go down the road of 1883 and 1923? Everybody on this chat and everybody continues to tell me that Succession is the way to go. Up next for she and I. Or does that become my kind of show? Just that's the one I go on my own. Have you watched Succession?
Remember, Tom?
We're going to do it together.
We're going to do it together.
All right, we're going to do it together. You and I will do that one together. See, now, Casey, you are kind of, your tastes are a little further out than mine. You like going into the surreal world, things like that, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I do have a little bit of breaking news.
Let's hear it.
A little bit. This is not actually news yet. It's a proposed plan. And behind the scenes, if you're kind of familiar with the Cincinnati scene, you may have heard whisperings of this for years, but this is the first time I've actually seen this in a headline. Charleston businessman Ben Navarro just proposed a new state-of-the-art professional tennis stadium for West Charlotte in Carolina. Along with the stadium and its campus, the pitch includes relocating the Western and Southern Open down to Carolina.
Well, if you remember now, Mr. Barrett, who's the leader of the whole operation, right? He did everything he could. Chicago was trying to steal that tournament for a long, long time. And he didn't let it happen.
There have been rumors of this because the guy that has this has obviously Carolina connections and has been talking about this. I've heard rumblings about this for maybe the last year or 2 years, but I had never actually seen anything concrete enough or in the public enough to talk about it. And it just came across. So that would be that'd be a bummer because that's not that I'm a huge tennis guy, but going up to
that would be a total bummer. It's not going to happen.
Going up to that event for one or two of the days, it's a great time. I'm sure you've
many times.
Yeah.
It is one of the best
phenomenal
events in this town. I would make the argument it's the single best event in this town year after year. It's an incredibly successful tournament. The players love coming to play here because it gets them out of the cities where they normally go to, and they stay out in the suburbs. They can bring their families and feel safe. That tournament's not going anywhere.
Well, I hope not.
It's not going anywhere. That's my opinion, and I could be totally wrong. All right. All right. Jolly's back today. He's been gone for a long time. I think he's doing a lot of NASCAR these days.
Yeah, I saw that. Good for Jolly.
Good to have him back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to have him back. All right, Reed Mouse, what's happening, my man? We got box lunch coming up. Anything on your mind? Want to react to anything happening? Anything from the show?
Listen, I've long said that box lunch is like the chat show. It's a chance for the chat to let a tear down and really not that the chat ever has its hair up, really.
No, definitely not.
But Casey's been a heel in the chat as of late, and we're gonna get down. We're gonna mediate between
a heel.
A heel.
I don't think I'm that big of a heel.
You've been blocking people, Casey. This is.
I did not block anyone. I put him in timeout. I put him in timeout because he was ripping my Blantucky.
Blantucky?
It's not Clownchester. It's Blantucky.
I will not call it Blantucky because I don't like it when people call it Hamiltucky.
That's right. We're not allowed to say that around here.
But Clownchester did make me giggle a little bit. It did make me giggle. I'm sorry that I giggled at that, but yeah, we're gonna figure out what's going on between Casey and the chat. But then we're gonna talk about the Reds, and so Tom, as we are teaching Casey the game of baseball,
Yeah.
he didn't know the words to "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" when we started at doing the Miami games back in March,
Okay.
and hearing it. Every softball game, every baseball game, I'd turn to Casey and I'd look at it. I was like, do you know the words yet? Do you know the words yet? And he'd mime it. So if Casey would divulge at some point in the show when we get to the 7th inning stretch of box lunch, I would love to see. It's a pop quiz for Casey. If he can sing, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
I'll pull up the track and put it underneath. Just hold my
Casey, you have a Reds lid, you have a Miami lid, anything. If you're going to do it, you got to have like something baseball. The Viking helmet doesn't cut it. Headlines has got something you can put on. Right, Reed?
Yeah, we figure something out.
Yeah. You got to have
Absolutely.
a baseball lid if you're going to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
That's fair.
Okay.
Tom, do you ever lead Wrigley Field and take me out to the ball
I did.
game? I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great tradition.
I saw the other day, I was sitting, and my son was flipping through some of the baseball games, and it just happened to be the 7th inning at Wrigley when he's clicking through. And they did it where it wasn't somebody else. It was just a video of Harry.
Of Harry, right.
Oh, God. What memories that brought back. It was so cool to see it. I love when they do that. I love when they have other people come in and do it. Yeah, that was really cool. Really cool. All right, Casey, Paul, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Tom.
Never put on the Viking lid. That means the Reds are taking a tail kicking tonight. You didn't put it on one time. It's time now, boys and girls. Box lunch. Here we go.
I must admit, I didn't think much of this show the first time I laid eyes on it. Seemed like a bunch of stiffs wasting nice
The worst trade
microphones.
of all time happened back in 1803. Go ahead. Napoleon Bonaparte traded the Louisiana Purchase for $3 million. Napoleon, what happened? Half the country for $3 million. You can't even get Tucker Barnhart for $3 million.
Then I came to realize
anymore.
these guys are funny.
And Justin Fields have identical stats the last 5 weeks about throwing the football. This guy, okay,
And
folks,
are
is a
some of the
fidget
best
spinner.
gamblers I've come to know.
If you're betting on USC and or TCU, let it be known you are a square.
TCU is going to hammer this team tomorrow night.
I hate to hear that.
Tomorrow
When we come back
afternoon.
in here on Monday, you're going to be happy as a lark because USC lost, but you're going to be wrong about TCU.
Get ready for the most useless hour of your day. It's time for Boxed Lunch, presented by Betfred Sportsbook. Now, Casey, run that track.
All right, Casey. It's got a little bit of rock to it. How many royalty-free songs do we have? Like, how long will it take us to go through?
We have a ton to go through, but it's a matter of me actually like downloading it and getting it prepped, and
It would take us years to get through all of these songs, is what you're telling me.
I won't say years. Well, it might be. It might be really
Put
close.
put that one at the top. I like that little dad rock that we had. That's what Everett Henry called it. Dad rock.
Dad rock.
Guys, this is Box Lunch presented by Betfred Sportsbook. I'm your mouse. Happy May 10th, guys. Paul? Casey?
So, Casey, let me see your water bottle real quick.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't mean to air you out here, but so Casey invested in this water bottle here. Casey said he needed to be more hydrated. I almost bought one of these too so that Casey and I could get on a hydration program together. But this is the time of the day when you're supposed to be drinking all these. Casey, I see it. It says 8 here. I'll just move it over here so you don't have to move the camera. This line, it says 8 a.m. This line says 10 a.m.
Oh,
this
no.
line says
He's
noon.
behind. He's
it
behind.
looks to me, Casey, like you are 4 hours behind schedule here. And we're only on day number 7 of this program.
How's it been going? Have you felt better from drinking more water?
I have when I do drink the water like I'm supposed to. But it's the problem actually has been that I'm not getting the right water. You know, like it's a lot of Pawnee water to put in this thing. And so that's just tough to make sure I'm always refilling with Pawnee.
Sure.
So
Absolutely. Look at that. Casey, the first thing on the J Bar. I was not in the chat a lot yesterday, but I saw you laid the hammer down on Chad Waits, who had been soaring to the top of the chat power rankings. Number 2 last week.
yeah,
I'm a big Chad guy.
I'm still a big Chad guy. I like him a lot.
What happened?
Well, first off, he admits that he's a Goshen alum.
Okay, so what's wrong?
Which is that's
Me and
strike
Everett
one.
get along. He's a Ross guy.
You're a Ross guy.
Ramley. It's the Ramley.
It's the Ramley. See, that's the thing is that from one hillbilly to another, that game, man, that rivalry, it's almost stitched in my soul that I just can't like a fellow Goshen member. But you know what? I just, I couldn't stand the insults that he was throwing at me, so I had to ban him for 300 seconds, 5 minutes, put him in timeout.
Did you call Chad a hillbilly?
I think that I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you said it, he just directly called one of Nutcutter Nation a hillbilly.
Well, I said a hillbilly to another hillbilly.
Yeah, so insinuating that Chad is a hillbilly, which Casey, you're just digging yourself in a hole. Just grab that shovel and go a little further, brother.
Well, whatever. I mean, if Chad doesn't want to admit that he's a hillbilly and he went to school in Goshen, then that's one
I
thing.
love it,
That's-
Casey. I love it.
He's refusing to
doubling
back
down.
He's refusing to back down on this. Casey, you are being the heel.
Just the Chad Waits. That's all I care about.
Just to Chad?
Just the Chad. And I still like Chad a lot. I even threw a little dig at him this morning. I don't know if you saw it. But Blanchester currently owns the King of the Road game. That trophy is in Blanchester right now.
Did you ever win that trophy?
Our team. Did we ever win it? Yes. I do
You
believe
beat
so.
Goshen? Because I could look this up. You better not be lying to me.
I'm pretty sure we did.
It's that deep of a rivalry. You don't even know if you won it.
No, I mean, it's back and forth. It's very much back and forth and has been for a while.
Gets so blinded with rage, he forgets the results of the game.
Well,
What can we-
It's been almost
I-
10 years.
I have 2 questions for you.
My God, it has.
I have 2 questions for you. One, I'm going to say, like, they're asking if they could call into Box Lunch. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, they can call in if they want.
If they want to call in, Sir Boy's asking, a few people are asking. If they want to call in, go ahead and throw the line up there. We will allow it. But what can we do, Casey? In chat, what can we do to mediate this widening gap between Casey, his ability to ban people from the chat, and that he seems to do it just at whim now, and what can we do to mend that bridge? Because, Casey, I don't think it's just Chad that's upset. When you're going at Chad, you're going at all of Nutcutter Nation. So, therefore, you feel like you're just going at Chad, but you're going at everyone. You are the heel.
That's what I don't understand. Why is everyone on my case about it?
Because
Well,
it's a brotherhood of Nutcutter Nation. You're going at them all.
They need somebody to villainize Casey. and we are trying to make that person not you. I'm tired of you going to lunch with me every day and seeing that sad look on your face where you say, Paul, I don't know if the chat likes me. And I have to put my hand on your back and say, no, the chat likes you. They're just ribbing you. We need more positivity in the chat. This was supposed to be nice to Casey week, and it has not turned into that.
Is that what this is about?
That was supposed to be this week. I tried to set the table for that on Monday.
No, is this what this is about? That Casey got the power of running the chat power rankings, and he just got drunk with the power? And that's why he's just banning people. He knows that people were trying to butter him up. We got a caller.
Chad's in here.
Chad's in here.
Oh
Are you
my
ready,
gosh.
Chad?
Chad, are you in here? Is this the first phone call ever into box lunch?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
Chad, let's mediate this. Let's mend this bridge between Goshen, Blanchester, Chad, and Casey. What can Casey do, if anything, to help calm the fighting that's going on in the chat?
Well, first off, he needs to apologize.
Can we get an apology, Casey?
So apologizing for what? Exactly.
What would you like him to apologize for, Chad?
Well, he blocked me after I made a little rib. He got all sensitive about Blanchester sports. Then he blocked me, and then he comes on today, ribs Goshen, knowing that he can just block me again if I say anything. He's a tyrant.
But Chad, I didn't, Chad. I didn't block you.
He's calling you a tyrant, and I'm going to be honest with you right now. I think I agree with Chad at this very moment, because you did act like a tyrant. We are a land of free speech, and you are blocking Chad just because of the high school he went to? And Chad, did you hear what he called you earlier?
Oh, I heard him. He called me a hillbilly. I heard him.
Can you at least apologize for that, Casey?
You know what, Reed,
Chad,
it's
speak
okay.
to me, brother.
It's okay.
It's okay?
We Goshenites are always the bigger people and up there, and that if you can call it a town, it's fine. I'm used to it. But I'm all for Nutcutter Nation, ELE. You're my boy, Reed.
Hey, Chad, you're my
okay,
boy.
Paul.
I'll take being okay. What about
Casey? This is a war now.
A war? Now listen.
It's the king of the road.
It's the king of the road. And you know what? I still have much respect for you, Chad. I think you preaching ELE is exactly what this chat needs.
The chat has been in shambles for 2 days, and it's because you have your hammer back. Tyrant.
Are you saying that I can make amends if my hammer is taken away again for the second time?
If we take away Casey's ability to block people, would that be okay, Chad? Would that mend this bridge?
Forfeit the hammer, and that's where we'll start.
That's where we'll start.
Start? Man. These negotiations are going horribly.
Start? All right. You want an apology and you want Casey's hammer gone. We want the chat to just get along. We want a little ELE, and clearly there's a roadblock in the way. How can we mediate? Where can we meet in the middle for this? Casey, if we take away your wrench for a week, no apology, but we take away your wrench for a week, and we just practice ELE until next Monday.
Look, that's what we were trying to do this week. That was what the goal of this week was be nice to Casey week. And now it's just turned in. That's gone. That goal is out the window.
Right, it's gone.
That goal is gone. So now we have to figure out what can we do. And I think Chad coming into the chat, being a man about this and talking to us personally is a big step in the right direction. And I think the chat is united right now with a common enemy. But I don't want this. I don't want Casey's too good of a person to be an enemy. We just need you to not wield that hammer.
I just think Casey doesn't have the heel in him. I don't think he is a heel, but for some reason, yesterday something got into him to where he's becoming kind of a heel.
Casey's not a heel at all. There's no bone in Casey's body that is a heel. The problem is that's the life you've chosen to live now.
Like I said, I like Chad. You start poking at the Blanchester Athletics. I can't stand it.
Chad, did you play sports at Goshen?
Yes, sir. Graduated in 2011.
Did you ever lose to Blanchester?
I'd have to look back. I do not believe so. At least not in baseball. Maybe 1 year in football, but I don't even think you could call it athletics up there when I was in high school.
See, look what he's doing. A little dig.
Chad, is it true that you threw a no-hitter against Blanchester?
I was a freshman, threw a no-hitter against their JV team. Yep.
A freshman against the JV team. Casey, that's what you're working with? He threw a no-hitter against your guys' JV team.
It's unacceptable.
I'm not bragging. Not bragging.
You're bragging.
You're bragging.
It's
a little
okay.
bit. It's okay,
You can
Chad. It's all right.
I'm kind of bragging.
All
right. Well, Chad, thank you for coming on. We're going to figure out. We're going to sort this mess out. What we're going to do with Casey. We currently have in the chat what Casey's punishment could be, because I think we are all in unison that there should be some sort of punishment for what Casey did yesterday. But we are trying to mediate, so we're going to let the chat do this. Chad, thank you for coming on. Hey, thank you for always preaching ELE, and thank you for always having my back when Paul Brown's ghost is telling me that I have a high-pitched voice, so I appreciate you.
Hey, ELE, Nutcutter Nation for life, baby. Let's go.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chad. See ya. All right, guys. First off, that was the first ever call we've ever had on Box Lunch. And it went swimmingly. We got down to the core of the problem, which was Casey versus Chad. Now, I think at this very moment, 16 votes in, Casey, you're not even going to have to apologize or lose your hammer.
I know. That's what it's looking like right now. Apparently, I'm not a heel.
How many burners do you have voting in that right now, Casey?
I don't have any burners.
All right. So by the end of the show, we'll give it about 10 more minutes. Right around the time that we do the 7th inning stretch, that's when we'll decide what your punishment will be. But we'll continue on with Box Lunch for the time being. And we'll just go down the J-bar. All right. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Reds, guys. You guys talked about them a little bit. I think you guys alluded to this yesterday. I think Paul alluded to this yesterday. Is it possible for the Cincinnati Reds to make this summer kind of exciting? I think no one in their right mind thought that the Reds had a real shot at having an exciting summer, right? One that you compete all the way to the end. But no one in the NL Central is playing better than them right now. 5-5 over their last 10, which for some reason is the best that any team in the Central is playing. The Brewers, they've got a good pitching staff. They've got a good team, but still just kind of dwindling around. We all know the Pirates are going to have some regression. The Cardinals stink, even though they beat the Cubs the last 2 nights. And the Cubs are top 5 in both ERA and OPS, but for some reason just can't win ball games. So why not? Is it possible for the Reds to be an exciting team going forward? Is it possible for this NL Central to be just bad enough to let an up-and-coming team like the Cincinnati Reds get a few stars, bring a couple bats into that lineup, and compete? Is it possible for a team with frontline starters like Graham Ashcraft, Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green, and a pretty solid bullpen to compete in this NL Central? I think it is. Guys, Paul, I think you kind of pointed this out yesterday. Why can't the Reds? Why not the Reds?
Yeah, that was my opening line on Monday's show. I said, at what point are we going to have a serious conversation that the NL Central is so bad that the Reds might just hang around long enough for these guys to come up and keep it at least interesting? Look, I'm not saying they're even going to make the postseason, But all we were asking for was interesting baseball by the 4th of July. And for a minute there, 6-game losing streak, it got a little dicey. But you take away that 6-game losing streak. Now, look, you're going to go back to last year. Oh, Paul, if they hadn't lost 20 in a row, if they didn't start 3-22, they played, 500 ball the rest of the way. I mean, sure, but they did start 3-22.
Right, so that happened.
So we're not just going to take away the 6-game losing streak. But to an extent, you know what? Damn it, I am. Because outside of that 6-game losing streak, they had a bad week. They've played some decent teams. Look at the Padres, played the Mets. I know they didn't play well against a bad White Sox team. But they've beaten some decent teams, and they're hanging around.
You know what's great about the Reds right now is that every game is interesting, except for the games where they lose by like 10.
Yeah.
But like every game, they're competing, right? That's what it comes down to. In the 7th and 8th inning, they're still got a shot to win.
Yeah.
They're still just hanging around. And what wins in baseball a lot of the times is arms. And the Reds have a good bullpen, like I mentioned. Have those frontline starters. Now their batting lineup, it's a little dicey. But they're just a couple guys that happen to be in Louisville and playing well. They're doing great. So why not?
I think I play Verlander tonight.
Yeah.
We'll see.
By the way, I got a little frustrated. You're like, it's tough to see Verlander.
Yeah, I meant the injury thing. I'm sorry. Yes, I know. I saw you in the chat. I more so meant the body wear and tear.
I was gonna say,
yes.
He had his best year of his career maybe last year.
Yes.
Justin Verlander
did not articulate that well.
Casey, you should go watch a Hall of Famer. You should go witness a Hall of Famer play tonight. If you got nothing to do, you should go down to the Reds game. Go check it out. Or you can just come to Foundation Field and watch the Parates versus the Dodgers.
I mean, I was wanting to maybe go and watch the game today. I was thinking about it. I mean, I got nothing else going on.
Go watch Justin Verlander. Go watch him play. Do the Mets have any other Hall of Famers? Scherzer, Frankie Lindor, maybe.
Pete Alonso.
Oh, seriously, Pete Alonso is heading that direction. He has perfected the home run derby. Huh. Kirby said you should go see the future Hall of Famer Hunter Green tonight. I like Hunter Green.
Chatterbox outing tomorrow, 12:35.
Ooh. Don't count me out.
Don't count me out. End the show. We get down there by the 2nd inning.
Don't count us out.
I'd go.
Man, bosses go away for a week, and we just come out to play. All right, speaking of going to professional athletic events, one fun thing that I did last year is obviously we went to the AFC Championship game in Kansas City. I also went to the Titans game when the Bengals played down in Nashville. And I think I've decided with my dad, with my friends, that every year we are going to pinpoint a road game in the Bengals schedule, and we're going to go. So looking at the schedule, guys, they go to Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, obviously. But they also go to Arizona, Jacksonville, San Francisco, Tennessee, Kansas City. If you guys could, money's not an option, time's not an option, you can go to any of the games. What is the road game that you think would be the most fun and make a nice little weekend trip, nice little 3-day trip out of it? If you don't have the schedule up in front of you, it is...
I got it right here.
All right.
Let's see here. Who of these road games? Jacksonville?
Jacksonville is what you're picking? Go down to Florida?
Florida.
Over Arizona?
I just went to Arizona last summer.
San Fran?
You want to go to California?
Actually, I've been to California one time. Have you ever been to San Fran? I've never been out to San Francisco.
No, I have been to California. I have never been up to like northern mid-California. None of that.
We currently have another caller if you want to get to them.
Yeah, who we got? Who's in here?
Sir Boy.
What's up, Reader? It's Sir Boy.
Sir Boy Wonder. So, Sir Boy, before we get into this call, I don't know if you recall this. You remember when we were at the Reds game? It was the first Cubs game, like 4th game of the year. And you and I run into each other, like in the 7th inning.
Yeah.
Both going to the restroom. And we both looked at each other, just smiled at one another, and then just kept walking. We're like, this is war right now. This is like Casey and Chad when Goshen and Blanchester play. It's Cubs versus Reds. We're not discussing anything. We looked at each other, said, hey, and then we just kept on walking. We're like, hey, we're in the middle of a battle. Sir Boy, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Reed. Let me tell you something. It's hard for me to be very respectable to Cubs fans because I'm a level with you. I can't stand the Cubs. They are make my skin crawl. They're as bad as Michigan fans. But for you have been pretty down to earth, so I will keep it respectable with you.
Sir Boy.
And I cannot wait for our wonderful journey down to the ballpark in the handlebar when the Cubs come back to town. So
Sir Boy, I don't think our friendship can survive that. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. If we go to a Reds Cubs game and it gets dicey down the line, I don't think we're gonna survive that. And Sir Boy,
I don't think your handlebar's ready for us to be there. But
I love how much hate you have for Javi Baez on Twitter.
Oh my gosh, man! Don't even get him to Rizzo, man. I hate him more than Yadier Molina. And, oh, my gosh, I hated Yadier Molina. But them two guys, I cannot stand. Oh, my God.
Why do you hate the Cubs so much? Is it because they've just been so much better than the Reds? And because Javi Baez just made so many plays against the Reds?
You've won one World Series in 110 years, and, guys are acting like you're this great team.
We've also won a World Series in the past 7.
You're not the best team.
We have owned.
I don't know. It's just bad. Something about that C gets me going.
Well, it's the right C. It's not a wishbone C.
No. It's the wrong C. It is the very wrong C. But hey, that's your favorite team, so I respect that. If you love the Cubs, that's fine. But can we get to what reason why I called in today? Can we talk about this umpire who was behind the plate last night?
I did not watch the game.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if Paul or Casey watched the game, but the umpire who was behind home plate was calling pitches that were at least 8 feet or 8 inches off the plate that had no business of being strikes. Oh my gosh, it about made me want to lose my freaking mind. It was like Angel Hernandez on steroids behind the plate last night. And that's how man.
So if you get on Twitter, you can actually pull up. They give a score to every home plate umpire.
I don't know if he's I was waiting for him to put it up because I was going to make a post about it. Like, this has to be the worst scorecard of any umpire, even one that would be done by a game done by Angel Hernandez, because last night was terrible. I mean, God, man. I've never wanted a game with robo umpires more than last night. That was – I don't know what the deal is, but these umpires are just getting worse and worse. And it's like, guys, it's not that hard. We're calling pitches that are 8 feet outside of the box. Like, come on, guys. What are we doing?
Casey, I just sent you the umpire scorecard. It was a favored of 0.6 runs for the Mets. There it is. Pull us up. Look how many missed calls there were. And every impactful call looked like it hurt the Reds.
And I know D-Law and Lucas Sens. I mean, half the reason they couldn't even get half through their pitch or through their batters is because he's calling pitches that are no business being called for balls. And it's ridiculous.
All right, Sir Boy. I don't know how much spare time you have, but you know what?
Got all the time in the world for you, big boy.
Well, I'm just saying, let's get you to the show. Let's make you an official umpire. We start low, right? We start at like 13U, 14U. We get you to grind all the way to professional baseball, and that way we get you behind home plate, and we know we have someone we can trust to call balls and strikes in the Queen City. How do we get Sir Boy Wonder to become an official umpire?
Man, Man, I'd love to know. They just had an umpiring academy here a week ago. I think it was like 2 weeks ago too. That would be man. That'd be perfect though. That's the best idea I've heard you say in a while too. That's awesome. I would absolutely be all down for that.
Get a little extra cash in your pocket. You've never done it before.
Yeah.
It is very tough. I umpired one game, and I told myself I'll never do it again. I still have people text me every now and once again, like, "Hey, will you do my 10U game?" And I'm like, "Sorry, I can't do it. Won't do it. I'll never do it again. It's not a whole lot of fun."
And I'm not trying to say all these umpires are just terrible, but it's like half the games I watch anymore, it's like they make calls like, and you're like, really? Like, come on.
All right, Sir Boy, I'm gonna ask you one more question, then we're gonna move on box lunch here.
Okay.
Who wins a World Series first, the Cubs or the Reds? Easy answer.
My heart says Reds because I love what I'm seeing with Ellie and McLean, and I just think, man, with the way them guys are playing, and I've seen Ellie play like 5 times down in the minors last year, and let me tell you, he's a different breed, dude. Dude's going to be a top 5 player when he hits his prime. I don't see another Barrero that flames out in the end. I'm telling you, he's going to be the face. He's going to be, I'd almost argue, because someone was telling me this last night, he's going to be the Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Reds, like Burrow was for the Bengals when he took over. That's how confident I am in Ellie De La Cruz. But I don't know. It all depends on the pitching. That's how the Cubs won theirs. That's how the Cubs won theirs. Their pitching. They came up big.
Well, they won because they had Anthony Rizzo and Javi Baez in the middle of their order, so that's why they won. Those two guys exclusively. Maybe a guy named Chris Bryant.
I was going to say Chris Bryant. Let's be real here. Chris Bryant.
All right.
Won the MVP.
Sir Boy, thanks for calling in. Hey, we hope to have you back on Box Lunch at some point. And I cannot I cannot wait for the handlebar.
Oh, absolutely. Casey, come down to the game with me tonight.
I'm thinking about it.
Do you have season tickets, Sir Boy?
No, I'm going tonight, so.
Do you have season tickets, Sir Boy?
Not this year. I kept my Bengals ones, and I didn't renew the Reds this year, but I'm going to renew the Reds next year, though. Usually I have like a 40-game package with the Reds, so.
All right. See you, Sir Boy.
All right. What
about that? Sir Boy Wonder calling in. Just ripping Anthony Rizzo and Javi Baez right off the rip. Ripping my dog.
Your guys.
My dog.
Rizzo.
El Mago, too. Golly. If you guys don't follow Sir Boy on Twitter, anytime that Javi Baez comes across his Twitter, he immediately tells him that he's the most overrated player in baseball. And I love that about Sir Boy. All right, Casey. Are you ready to sing in the 7th inning stretch of this box lunch?
All right. Are we ready?
Yep. You cannot read the screen. You've got to look at me or Paul as you sing.
Got the lyrics right there.
You got it. You can't look at the screen.
Yeah.
Put it away.
He's trying to memorize it real quick.
Let's start it up. Let's go. And look away. You got to look at me in the eye. So put the camera on you. All right, Casey.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes you're out at the old ball game.
All right, that was great.
Take me out to the ball
Casey.
game. Take me out with the crowd.
There we go.
Oh, man, that was great. Casey, I'm not kidding you. Casey did not know a single word to that song. I don't even know if he ever heard the song before these Miami games. And quite literally every game, I turn to him and go like, all right, pony up here. Got to learn these words. Look to my left as he's producing. And as the season grew, so did his knowledge. Learned a little bit more. And I love how we are navigating you through baseball fandom. I love it, Casey. I truly do. By the end of the year, you'll be more knowledgeable than pretty much anybody.
Well, at least when it comes to Reds.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right, let's get in the vault. Wrap up this show nice and tight. Put a bow on it. The Stars got a win last night, guys. I don't know if you saw that.
Stars did get a win last night.
Our beloved Stars. I love how you called that, Paul. The beloved Stars.
Our beloved Stars.
Does Washington have an NHL team? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, of course.
Hunter Green over 6.5 strikeouts boosted to plus 155 on the Betfred Sportsbook. I am going to take the Los Angeles Lakers plus 7.5 against the Warriors tonight.
If you want to lock, which is why you guys come here, because this is presented by Betfred Sportsbook, if you want to lock, just go ahead and hammer the New York Mets winning tonight at minus 150, and go ahead and hammer the Chicago Cubs winning against the St. Louis Cardinals. Even parlay it together. It's plus 225, so that's a guaranteed winner. When do the Cubs ever lose to the Cardinals? And when do the Mets ever lose to the Reds?
Good point.
Hasn't happened. Never. Never once. All right, so I will not be here on Friday.
Oh, no. That's right.
So if you guys don't know, this is my reminder to you guys. For anyone that's married, with kids, or this Sunday is Mother's Day. All right? This is my reminder to you. I'm giving you about, 4 days notice? This Sunday is Mother's Day. Plan something. If you guys don't know this about me, I lost my mother at a very young age, 6 years old. She saved my life and died in the process. So Mother's Day is very important to me and my family. We still celebrate it. It's been about 20 years since that's happened, 21 years to be exact. So this is my reminder. Take Mother's Day seriously. Take your mother out. Make her something. Get her something nice. Get her a card. Just spend time with her because you never know how much time you have left. Miss my mom dearly. I'll see her someday. All right, Wheel of Lunch. Where are we going to lunch?
Do not put...
I haven't even made it yet.
All right.
I haven't done anything yet.
Okay. Put Chipotle on there.
And guys, you don't. I didn't say that to get apologies. It happened 21 years ago. It's cool. I'm just reminding you guys that it's Mother's Day. But thank you for everything you said. All right.
Chipotle.
Chipotle's good. Jersey Mike's. Did you guys go to Jersey Mike's recently?
I have not been there in a while. I do have a dentist appointment at 2:30, so let's maybe keep it to something that's more welcoming to oral hygiene.
Penn Station. Can we go without Paul?
That's true. I may not even be able to go to lunch, depending on how long it takes to cut and edit all this stuff. So you could throw Penn Station up there.
Panda, Canes, Paul's favorites. Put Sonic on there. Mouse Cop's been quiet. He hasn't been hating me a whole lot today.
All right. Is that all of them?
That's it. Run that. Run that.
We should leave one of the names up there and then just call
Gabriel?
Yeah, like leave Gabriel up there. We'll find a Gabriel on Facebook, send him a message and just say, hey, where should we go to lunch today?
This is a perfect day for Jollies. Is it too late to throw Jollies in there? Taco Bell.
No, Taco Bell was my idea.
That was where Paul.
That was where I was going.
That was where he was eyeing.
Man. Haven't had Taco Bell in a while. See ya, Panda.
Smell you later, Panda.
Smell you later. All right.
I don't hate this list.
I don't either,
other
but
than
Sonic is hanging around too long. I can tell you right now with time constraints, if it ends up at Sonic, I will not be able to go.
Your doctor appreciates you not going to Penn Station.
That's true. So does my primary care doctor. All right. Now we can make one of these happen, I think.
Oh, we can't lose.
We can't lose here.
We can't lose here.
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
All right.
Chipotle. I had Mexican last night, but I'll do it back. We'll run it back. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around for Box Lunch. I won't be here on Friday. I got to go do some work down in Nashville, so I'll be back on Monday. Thank you for tuning in. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun talking to both Chad and Sir Boy. Now, Casey, on Friday, you are in charge of the chat power rankings.
I am.
So you got to make sure, I don't know if you just do an abbreviated box lunch after Tom leaves. I don't know what happens, but you are in charge of the chat power rankings on Friday. And a lot of eyes are going to be on you. A lot of eyes because of what happened yesterday in the chat. And also, what did we end up? What is your punishment? Oh, man. End of the show, they said you've got to apologize and you have to take your hammer. So, Casey, the floor is yours.
Chat. I'm sorry. For being the tyrant that I am. For caring about my hometown. For standing against the aggression. It's been done. It's been done. My powers are no longer here. Please forgive me.
That counts. That was good. That was good. I think we're good now. I think we're good. That was heartfelt. He lost the wrench. Casey, you're a man of integrity.
Of course.
That is the one thing we've always said about Casey. A lot of integrity there. He's a man of the people. Casey, took a big man to do this, to sit on Box Lunch on the world stage and do that. So I appreciate it.
Most of the chat is not saying it's
well,
sincere.
but it's a step in the right direction.
What did Mouse Cop say? Denied. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on Monday on Box Lunch. This is presented by Betfred Sportsbook. As always, Reed Mouse, Paul Frischner, Casey McAllister. We'll see you guys. Remember, Sunday's Mother's Day. See ya.